From downtown, this is Tim Kitzer from NBA Jam, and you're listening to Nintendomain Podcast. Boom shakalaka!
All right, this week on Nintendomain, we have Larry here from OC ReMix. We're going to talk about video game music.
Oh, wonderful.
Let me tell you, there wasn't nothing final about Fantasy VII.
I'm all polygons.
All right, welcome to Nintendomain Podcast, episode 409, your place to hear Nintendo fans talk to other Nintendo fans about music and that sort of thing. And we are your hosts. I'm Trey, directionless Johnson.
I'm Dashing Thief Mikowski.
I'm John, low-res knitter.
And this week we have a special guest.
I am Larry OG. I'm the community manager of OC ReMix, a bunch of video game music nerds who love it way, way, way too much.
Welcome to the show, Larry. It's great. It's great to have you. You know, a couple episodes back, we talked. John talked about his ultimate OC remix, CDs from way back when, and rebuilding the collection and all that stuff. And we also did a Patreon episode last week where we did talked about our top 5 favorite OC remix songs of all time, and we kind of counted them down and all that.
That was a really fun episode to record.
Fun. Oh shoot! Okay. Oh snap. Well, I hope one of mine better be in there.
What is what is your alias? What is your OC? What is your code name for the mixes?
Oh, I'm a pro wrestling nerd. So my handle is Lion Tamer. It is named after Chris Jericho's finishing move.
I was going to ask you that if it was Lion Tamer. I figured it was. You could see.
I was originally Y2J Lion Tamer. So right on the cusp. But I loved him when he was in WCW, and then loved when he jumped to WWE. And so so I'm named after his finishing move.
I watch him in AEW weekly.
AEW.
I became a fan again
Absolutely.
For the AEW. I actually have a Chris Jericho poster right up here, right above my head that I got from the Revolution pay-per-view that was at the C2E2.
Nice. Looks like a Van Gogh.
It was at the C2E2 convention in Chicago, so they did these comic book posters for different wrestlers. So I got Chris Jericho's and I got Nyla Rose's over there also.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah,
so that's kind of my wrestling area.
After Jericho's world title win, I got a little bit of the bubbly. I bought some of that champagne. So
nice. Oh yeah, I forgot about the bubbly.
Yeah,
is Jericho the one that has the song?
Yeah, Jericho has the band, Fozzy, and they have his intro is a song that they wrote, which it took me.
So we saw him at AEW, didn't we?
You saw him, yeah. You were at. I mean, he's makes an appearance quite often, So you definitely saw him when you were there.
No,
Jeremy came up here for a Dynamite Rampage recording in November or something. Was that when it was?
Mm-hmm.
Or no, it wasn't November. That was when I was there last. It was before that, because the November one is the Thanksgiving. They always do one before Thanksgiving here in Chicago. It was a different time. It was in I think it was in June or July, because they were building up the Forbidden Door stuff for last year for 2023. So there was a lot of New Japan Pro wrestlers there, that sort of thing.
I feel like we are maybe brothers from another mother, something like that, because there's
a little romance happening here on Valentine's Day.
A little bit.
Together.
Yes,
I do.
OC Bromix.
We do. We do talk a little bit about wrestling on this show. We'll be talking about it today too, because AEW Fight Forever just got new DLC dropped today, so that's in the news also. A person named Swerve Strickland is now available to play on the game.
Oh, nice. Okay,
pretty awesome.
Swerve when I drive, I got you.
Yeah, for anybody who's fan of Swerve, Swerve is in the game now, so I'm pretty hyped about that.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I automatically made him the world champ once when he was added to the game, so I'm hoping that's predicting the future there for the next pay-per-view,
Nice.
but we'll see.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, totally. Well, I will just say real quick to sidetrack us yet again. I'm excited because I am going to my second WrestleMania ever for this year's WrestleMania. I'm going to attend night one.
Okay.
So cool. I'm excited for that. So I don't even know what the main event picture will be, but definitely excited for that. So
where is that being held?
Philadelphia.
Is it still The Rock? The Rock and Roman? Is it not that anymore?
No, you got to keep up on it. So
I don't watch WWE, so I don't know.
Hey, listen, I've been watching for 34 years, so a long time. And WWE's on a major resurgence creatively and everything like that. I mean, look, I can't watch 3 hours of Monday Night Raw because that's a huge slog, but I will speed through it at like 2.5 times speed, and then stop where where I want to see promos or match finish or something like that. And so, regardless, they've been building a lot of characters and been building a lot of stories. So it's actually been way better now. And I've been through some very lean and corny times in the world of professional wrestling, but it's been good. Right now, they had a press conference in Las Vegas right before the Super Bowl, and Cody had not actually. Cody Rhodes, who won the Royal Rumble this year, had not actually picked who he was going to face. He was going to step back and allow The Rock to fight Roman Reigns, but it turns out that the fans rebelled against it.
They didn't like that.
And
I knew that much.
And they were, so WWE did a nice pivot, and they really made it work. Where the Rock was up there talking about how this is going to be monumental, this is going to be historic, this is going to be amazing between the our bloodline and yada yada. And Cody came out and said, "This is a bunch of bullshit." And he literally said that on stage. And came out there and said, Roman, I choose you. And he's going to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania in the main event. So they pivoted. And what happened was he told Roman, your ancestors would be ashamed of you. And Rock took it personal. And he slapped Cody Rhodes in the face. Like, hey, if you're talking about his ancestors, you're talking about my ancestors. You're talking about his family, you're talking about my family. You're talking about his blood, you're talking about my blood. And then gave him the Will Smith right in the face, and boom. So that they've realigned. They took a different direction, but then they've gotten it back to where the fans want it, which is Cody finished the story. So I'm excited. I don't know what I'm going to see, but very happy. I'm in Atlanta, so I'm nowhere near Philadelphia, but I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta be there.
Nice. That's exciting. Definitely. Yeah, and I saw on the internet that people were all mad about it, but I'd be mad about it too. Like it's it's kind of like everybody was expecting one thing, and they're like, oh wait, The Rock, but it's like no, we need Cody to fight Roman again. Even though I did see him when he fought him last time at whatever. Pay-per-view that was when Cody first went there, because I remember Cody from AEW and all that, and I was there when he got booed multiple times, and they threw his belt back at him, and that's why he left, because nobody liked him at AEW. So people forget about that. People forget that nobody liked him when he was here, so they moved him. So he went to WWE. Yeah,
it was a very weird dynamic, and I didn't think that the WWE audience would accept Cody that easily and that quickly, but literally the moment he came back, he was like the most over baby face in the entire company. So they love Cody. I mean, he's lifted his profile in a major way. So I don't know why. Like they hate him in AEW, but they love him in WWE. So I guess they just like the whole look.
I mean, it was basically like, it was like how he first was when AEW first started and all that. But
yeah.
But I never necessarily disliked him. I just, he had a really long intro, and he could be kind of annoying about promoting his TV shows and all that. I get that, but
absolutely,
I didn't want him to leave necessarily. But he got hella boos. Like I was there I was there. Like I said, I was there that time because he used to throw his belt into the audience, and they threw the belt back at him during the match, and that was a pretty major event, I think, for him that made him think that maybe he should go to a different federation. But we shouldn't talk too long about this. I know. I was going to say I have another. We have a wrestling show that we do called Wrestle Chat where we stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Nintendomain podcast, where we where we talk about where we talk about wrestling stuff, and we play AEW Fight Forever. So you can check that out. We just we put them up every Monday or whatever. And that's kind of where that is. But let's talk about OC ReMix, because we have you here to talk about that. I guess you're saying that you have done music on there. I don't know. Just tell us about how you found it, how you came into it, what your involvement is, and all that.
Sure. So, all right. So I'll just say for the record, officially, before anybody thinks that I have any talent, which I do not make any music. I have no musical talent. If you sung me a note, I would not know what note you were singing to me. So I know nothing about anything. But, however, I am a big fan of video game music. And I guess we'll do the Reader's Digest origin story. I was in college way back when. This is around 2002, and I was doing a student radio show back in the day over at Emory University here in Atlanta, where I live. And I was subbing in for another DJ who couldn't make their show. Pretty much I was Johnny on the spot. If anybody ever had a gap where they go, I'm not going to be able to make my show, I would be like, I got it. And I'd just immediately camp out and run because I enjoyed doing the radio station so much. Well, when I subbed in for somebody, one of my friends was in the spot before me, and he said, "Oh, Larry, what are you playing?" I said, "Yeah, I'm doing a mixture of like mainstream music and video game music." And he goes, "Oh, video game music. Oh, you should check out this website." At the time, the URL was remix.overclock.org. That was the old URL that we had. It still works, I think. I think it'll still redirect. But he told me about Overclock Remix, and that was a bunch of fans taking video game music themes and doing different stuff with them. That was cool to me. I checked out the website. I think at the time there were about 500 tracks, and I downloaded, let's say 30, maybe just a handful from the games that I knew. I don't know what games you guys grew up on, but obviously like the classics for me, right? Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3. Mm-hmm. Like what was the stuff I'm checking out? Double Dragon, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, that kind of stuff, right? And so I didn't have a lot of games growing up at the time, and I just wanted to check out the ones that I personally had played as a kid. So even though there were other games that, of course, I'd heard of, Castlevanias, Mega Man, Zelda, and all that, I never played those games growing up. I didn't have any nostalgic connection for those. So I just stuck with the ones that I knew. And of course, other stuff that I played, on the Super Nintendo or the Sega Genesis, that kind of thing. And I grabbed about 30, just, hey, let me sample this, see what's up. I really enjoyed what I heard, but that was about the extent of my involvement there. And I just said, okay, that's cool. That's great. But the other thing that I had done was I told my college roommate about it at the time. And I told my best friend from high school about this website, like, yo, check this stuff out. And what my best friend from high school ended up doing was when I told him that all the music was free, he's like, wait a minute, free? Like, oh, okay. I jump in it. Like, I got it. And he downloaded everything. He grabbed every track on the website. And this was back in the olden days where, bandwidth was super ass expensive. And even, DJ Pretzel, who founded the site, he put up a message on there like, hey, listen, don't download all the stuff at once. Like, don't grab it all quickly. It'll really, it'll like give me expensive hosting bills and stuff. And, my friend didn't care. It's like, it's all free. He didn't care at all and grabbed it all. But what ended up happening was that the following summer, after I heard about the site, he actually ended up staying at our house for that summer. So he brought his computer and and he's like, Larry, I got all the OC remixes, from the website you told me about. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, let me check this out. And I sat down over 3 days on summer break, and just from A, like ActRaiser, to Z, Zillion, or whatever, I just went like boom, 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 boom. Wow. And was, hey, he did all the work for me and grabbed everything. So I said, okay, let me listen through. And what I ended up finding out was just, I was impressed with a ton of stuff that I heard on there in terms of what I would, say were like my keepers and stuff like that. Probably like a third of the track. So maybe, 100, 130, 150, somewhere around there, out of the 500. But even there, right, I was learning so much about different video game soundtracks that I never had any exposure to. So, I mean, listen, I don't play RPGs. Like, I'm not enough of a bona fide, nerd and stuff like that. So I never played Final Fantasy, like any of them. Secret of Mana, any of that kind of stuff. Xenogears, friggin' Chrono Trigger even, right? I like never played it. But through OC Remix and through listening to all that stuff, I got introduced to so many different, game melodies and stuff like that. And from that point on, after I listened to everything else, I said, oh shit, like I'm hooked. I will it opened my eyes to so much cool stuff that I said, yo, I will never skip anything that is put out on this website ever again. Like I will at least listen to what's there. And that made me from just like, oh, this is all right, this is cool, to super, super, super fan. And so that's essentially like, that's my origin story of how I heard about it and how I got hooked. And then from that point, as I mentioned, I was doing college radio. And so that made me kind of pivot, like all the music of OC Remix, that made me pivot into, oh shoot, like there's a whole bunch of, musicians and fans out there that are doing this stuff. Like I want to play it on the show. This is really cool. Like I want people to hear it. And eventually I'd been doing that for a few years. And so folks from the community every Saturday night would come listen to the show, like from all around the world. People were listening to my show, VG Frequency at the time. And they would send me music like, hey, Larry, I'm working on this. You mind, debuting it on the show or whatever? I'm like, oh, shit. Like, sure. Wow. I will definitely do that. And would end up interviewing a lot of the arrangers and stuff like that. And eventually what would happen is people then would start saying, hey, Larry, I'm working on this track. Like, what do you think? Give me some feedback about it. Because essentially it's like, hey, if he likes it, something's good, he'll play it or whatever. And that got me started into critiquing people's music. So again, right, even though I don't have any talent, I'm not a musical person, I can't sing, I was never a performer or anything like that, but what I can understand and appreciate and what I can speak to is comparing somebody's arrangement to the original video game music and appreciating what different musical techniques are being used to distinguish the arrangement from the original music. So if you're changing, the tempos, you're changing the rhythm, you're changing the genre, you're, switching up the instrumentation, you're adding original solos or original vocals with, fresh lyrics, anything like that, understanding what people did to personalize their version of a piece of video game music. So that's sort of, where I fall in. And because I was doing that a lot, the judges panel team at OC Remix invited me to join their group. And so now I'm one of, right now we have 10 judges, and which is mostly made up of musicians, but there are two of us that are listeners that, are not musicians. And we will listen to all the submissions that come in. Fans will submit all their, video game music arrangements, and we will evaluate them for their production quality as well as the arrangement creativity. And if they could pass on, both of those aspects, then they can be featured on ocremix.org as an OC Remix. So that's sort of like where, the specialness of the idea comes from. DJ Pretzel started it back in 1999. And so I showed up around early 2002, about 2.5 years into it. And so it'll be 25 years this coming December. So it's been running for a while.
Oh my gosh,
wow. Yeah, I know. Well, we're old. Isn't that awesome? We're all old and middle aged and stuff now. We're super young. If we were all politicians, they'd be like, "Who are these whippersnappers?" So I still feel young, and I still have the maturity level of a 13-year-old. I think. I mean, they pay me more than that, but I don't feel particularly adult-like or anything like that. I'm still a kid. So, but yeah, that's basically how I got involved. And then I'll just say real quick, as far as the scope of what OC Remix has done over the years, we've got over 4,000 tracks thus far. Over 4,300. If you took, and this doesn't count any of the albums that have come out. We've also put out more than 100 community albums as well. So, from the very start, we had Super Metroid Relics of the Chozo. That was the first arrangement album. Then Donkey Kong Country Kong in Concert was the second, and we've gone through several of the Final Fantasies. We've done several Zelda games, Mega Man, a lot of the major ones, and then some more minor stuff, or rather stuff that's sort of low key and under the radar. Like we've got a mid 90s PC game, Teen Agent, that was made in Poland. We've got an album for that too. I mean, it really runs the gamut. And fans continue to send us stuff all the time. And I guess since we've been around so long, we've had folks that have started making music at OC Remix and have gone on to become professional musicians and professional game composers. Our most famous example of literally someone who started at OC Remix would be Danny Baranowski, who did the Super Meat Boy soundtrack, The Binding of Isaac. What the heck, Crypt of the Necrodancer and Cadence of Hyrule and stuff. So he got inspired to even start making music because of OC Remix. He was later on the judges panel as well, back in the day, and now like that's his full-time job is making video game music. And I mean, at this point, there's a ton of contributors who have gone on to become game composers, and we've had classic game composers also contribute stuff to the website as well. Like we've had the Fat Man who did the Seventh Guest, David Wise who did the Donkey Kong Country series, Grant Kirkhope who did stuff from Donkey Kong Land, Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, 007, a ton of stuff. Even Mario and Rabbids, relatively recently.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, we've got it runs the gamut. It really does. A lot of folks on there. So what do you want to know? What do you want to know? I could talk about this nerdy stuff all day, but I like video game music a lot.
Jake Kaufman too, right?
Yeah. Jake Kaufman, right?
Didn't Jake Kaufman get a start on there, or did it before and then was on OC Remix? He did a bunch of indie stuff as well.
Yeah, no, I would say, I would love, speaking of somebody who I would love to interview, Jake Kaufman, Vert. He definitely was making music even before OC Remix was ever a thing. So, I mean, I'm sure there's tracks of his that go back as far as, 1998 and probably further, I'm sure he was dabbling or whatever. And yeah, he's one of the early contributors to OCR. He actually, him and the founder of OC Remix, DJ Pretzel, David Lloyd, they got into some sort of, spat, some argument. And this was before I ever showed up in the community. This was maybe a month or two before I ever arrived in the community. And I wasn't anybody, for a while after that. But he split off and left and formed his own website, VG Mix. That's archived right now. But I mean, Vert's since come back. Everything was squashed like so many years ago. Probably I don't know, like 15, 16 years ago at this point. So yeah, everything's been super, super cool. And we've got plenty of Vert tracks on OCR as well. But yeah, I mean, he did, Shantae, Double Dragon, Neon, DuckTales, Remastered.
Shovel Knight.
Like Shovel Knight,
also,
what the hell, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lots of Way Forward stuff too. Yeah, no, I mean, I recognize his name because I had a lot of his soundtracks. And when I was looking through stuff on OC Remix recently, I just saw a bunch of Jake Kaufman stuff. I was like, oh shit, that must be the same guy. So yeah.
Absolutely.
I just think it seems like when you came into OC Remix, you had kind of the same story as I did, where I was like, I didn't, I've been playing video games my whole life. I didn't necessarily personally think of video game music as like something that could be enjoyed outside of the game itself. And like when I found OC Remix, it was like a revelation to me that, oh, wait a minute, there's people who are just like listening to the music without like playing the game, just listening to the music by itself. And like, I can do that. Like, why didn't I ever think of that? And then I was just like all in. I think over the course of a weekend, I just dove in and listened to like everything that I could and pulled out all my favorites and made my CDs that I had mentioned before. I think OC Remix was the place that, for me at least, really crystallized the idea that video game music can be enjoyed outside of video games.
Oh, absolutely. No, thank you for saying that, John. I think one of the things that I should have, even mentioned about sort of the overarching mission of OC Remix and everything. So when DJ Pretzel, started it back in the day in 1999, he said he wanted video game music to be seen as, equal to any other form of music. And that's why it kind of, it runs the game. It wasn't even until several years ago that we added what we call our tagging system, where we have genre categories for, all of the arrangements and stuff like that. It used to be back in the day, if you look in the MP3 metadata of all the stuff, right, it says game. We purposely didn't put the genre, or attempt to label any of the genres, because what ends up happening is people would go, oh, well, is this, metal? Oh, well, I don't listen to metal. I'm not going to listen to that. Or, is this, is this jazz? Well, jazz is lame. I don't like that. And so we wanted to get away from a system where we were classifying everything as like singular genres. I mean, we have a lot of tracks on OC Remix that just don't fit into, one genre. And the labels would end up making people just say like, well, I just want this and I don't want that. Even, you could even say, well, look, just the way that I came into it, right? Just like I was detailing for you guys. Oh, well, I'm familiar with these games, and so I don't want to touch the rest of this. And that was the way that I looked at it. Now that I got, the deeper look at it, now I can further appreciate and go, oh, shoot, okay, well, the OC Remix label, as it were, means this is something cool. Whether or not I'm going to like it, that's up to me to decide. But if it's up here, that means it has some sort of creative value. And it's like a stamp, it's like the Nintendo seal of approval on it or whatever. And so, we just introduced genre labels recently that are on the website itself. But even then, we don't tag the stuff with just singular genres. We're trying to get people to kind of sample around. I would heavily encourage anybody, because I say this anytime I get to talk to folks about the website, right? Like, joining the website changed my life, right? Like, I've been the community manager since 2006. I've been one of the judges since 2004. I've gotten to go to lots of conventions and speak about what OC Remix is doing and get to talk about video game music in general. And just because of just by nature of being the community manager of OC Remix and helping people, with their careers and stuff like that, I've helped with marketing different video games and stuff like that. So I've gotten to go to, Tokyo twice. I've gotten to go to Paris for a week, like paid. I got paid to go. I think that stuff is really cool. Like just to get to do some of that. And that's all like by extension of my nerdy little hobby that I found for myself, just because I decided to go deeper with this music community. I mean, it's such a special community. They're again, right? They're people who, being in it as long as I have, right? There are a lot of musicians that have come through where, they're fucking scrubs. Like, they suck. They don't know what they're doing. They're there to learn, and they've got eagerness and they've got enthusiasm, but they don't have the skills yet. And so the great thing about the OC Remix community, even though we will give people, negative feedback if their stuff is not good, it's something that certainly wasn't there in the earliest days of OC Remix, right? Like in the olden days, the feedback would be like, LOL, this sucks. What the fuck? Get out of here. This is awful. And we've thankfully, I guess, getting a little older, a little wiser, realizing that other people are human beings and have feelings, that you don't want to, just rip stuff apart. You want to be supportive and make sure that people aren't torn down, right? You want to build them up. And so the level of feedback that happens through OC Remix these days is just so much more in depth and so much more helpful to the people that are submitting these days, that, we've seen people come in as total scrubs and not have it together at all. I've seen so many people, and I could rattle them off, and they wouldn't even mind me rattling them off, right? Like, I'll even say it, right? Like, Zircon, he used to be garbage. He's amazing now. Like Ocean's Andrew, Level 99, Prophetic Music, Rexy, Brandon Strader. Like, there's a whole bunch of people who they came in, they had potential and enthusiasm, no polish, and through going through that process and getting their stuff critiqued, but in a helpful way that's not just like, hey, you suck, you're never going to be good. Being able to uplift people, we've gotten them to where they're really, really strong, solid musicians. And so we've had over 1,500 contributors, thus far. Like I said, over 4,300 tracks. If you took every track from start to finish, not even the album stuff, forget all that. If you took just the single remixes from start to finish, it would take 12 and a half days with no breaks to get through the entire collection. So like,
wow,
there's way more than when I started. There's a ton of stuff these days. And it's really rewarding to get to sort of nurture that community. And there's lots of other great spin-off communities too. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the other communities that are out there, but like there's Dwelling of Duels, which is a monthly competition that's focused more on live performance and using live instruments. There's the Pixel Mixers community, which does a lot of community albums. There's Game Grooves. There's old stuff there's the older stuff that inspired OC Remix. Like there's C64 Audio, which is a Commodore 64 Remix website. There's remix.qued.org and Amiga Remix. Those are all in the European, like the Commodore side of the scene. There's no official headquarters of it per se, but like the Japanese doujin scene, doujin just means like fan stuff. So you can have, doujin anime, doujin manga, like you can have doujin. It just means fan created and stuff. But there's a doujin, video game music arrangement scene, and there's no central place for it, but there, hundreds and probably, at this rate, probably thousands of fan musicians out there on the other side of the world that are doing stuff. And so, it's a vibrant scene. And now, look, the world is flatter, right? There's YouTube and SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Like there's nothing getting in the way of people getting their stuff out there. But even in a climate where anybody can release their music anywhere, people still want the OC Remix, seal of approval. So
well, I think that means something.
It's nice. It definitely does. Like, yeah, it's nice to know that still means something, even, again, approaching 25 years of doing it, for sure.
I was going to say, on one hand, like, that's a staggering amount of music. Like you said, 12 and a half days or whatever. Or is that what you said, 12 and a half?
Oh, yeah.
But it could be so much junk, like you said, if it wasn't regulated, if it wasn't ran through the community. Like I think that makes it a really strong source of music. Like you said, also, like you didn't want to put genres early on, but that's like every music service now is trying to turn you on to genres, or like recommend the next thing based on the genres. So I don't know. It's really cool and pure that it was happening there first.
I think there's a lot of places to get media these days, YouTube and Spotify and all that. And it's just fantastic to have a source that curates it for you, not by some algorithm or whatever, by people combing through it, rejecting stuff that's not good enough for this site, and then when it is good enough, putting it up there, and also saying in the review section below, like kind of breaking down the song and saying things like, this song was good. It had some few weak spots here and there, but here's where it was really strong. And like, I appreciate all of that. I like that I can go to OC Remix and be guaranteed that there's going to be some certain level of quality that's worth my time to comb through the 1,400 songs that are on there. And then to see, even though I'm not a musician myself, see folks making constructive criticism there about the song. It makes me feel even more welcome browsing through there. Like this is a place of community and creativity and lifting people up.
Yeah, and I think so one of the things that I mentioned Zircon earlier before, and he's coming out with a new game on in April, Flowstone Saga. So Zircon is somebody like the other thing that will scare me about OC Remix, but it's true, is there are a lot of people with multiple areas of talent. So I don't even have one talent, but I get upset because we have contributors that are good at a lot of things. And so Andy is one of those, Andrew Aversa, Zircon. And besides making music, he has his own music sample company called Impact Soundworks that he created. And now, Secret of Mana was one of his favorite games growing up, and he always wanted to make a game like it. So he did, and learned how to program, and like just made a game called Tangle Deep, which is on Steam. It's gotten, some pretty solid traction. And so the follow-up game to that is it's like a different genre of game, but it's called the Flowstone Saga, and that's going to be coming out in April. One of the things that he said, and by the way, he used to be a judge. Like he was the one of the first judges that joined after I joined. But he said that it's very, very difficult in the music space to find people out there that will give you worthwhile, in-depth critique of your work. And even in the pro audio circles, it's like impossible to get the kind of feedback that you'll get from OC Remix. And it's different from, say, the feedback that you'll get just putting, your stuff out there on YouTube and SoundCloud, where people will be like, "Oh, I loved it. Oh, it's awesome. It's great." Another one of the former judges that we had, William Harvey, he's a British arranger. He goes by Willrock. He said, he had a pretty significant YouTube following before he ever came to OC Remix, but he had a lot of people gassing him up on YouTube, like, "Yo, send your stuff to OC Remix. They would love it," and everything. And he sent some stuff, and it got rejected initially. And he's like, "Yo, fuck these guys. I fucking hate them." That's the other thing. We have like such great stories of people that have come through that, they'll come through, They think their stuff's amazing. They'll send it. We're like, like we get the dagger out there, like, nah.
So I'd say you're doing the best you can to not research. Like, you're doing your best not to be like, well, maybe they did this other stuff, so I know what to expect. Like, you're trying to listen to it with virgin ears.
Well, I mean, I've heard of a lot of musicians, so I mean, there's certainly people that come through where I go, oh yeah, I've heard of them from wherever. But the thing is, I don't know, maybe it's like a mantra for life, right? Like, look, all I can do is be honest and straightforward with you, and I don't care who you are. Like, look, we've had people that have been frequent contributors. We've had professional composers get rejected. We've had people with followings get rejected. We've had people that have been on the judges panel get rejected. So it doesn't mean like just because you're a staffer, like whatever, we don't care, man. Like, it's easier to just be honest and, slice and dice whatever you need to do and just be honest. Like, I'm not going to, I remember it was maybe like a few weeks ago where, it was a member of the judges panel, Emunator, my friend Wes, he submitted something. And I listened to it and I said, man, this mixing is like jacked up. I don't know what the hell happened, but like, it's messed up, man. I love what you wrote. This is great. Arrangement wise, impeccable. Production wise, I don't know what happened, but I got to go, no. And he joked with me later. He goes, oh man, I read your comments and I was so pissed. And I was like, Larry, old man, what do you know? Fuck you. And then he listened to it and he realized he accidentally left something on or something that he shouldn't have, and some effect that was supposed to be in there actually was throughout the entire track, and it janked it up. He didn't know that he accidentally did that in the render. So he goes, you're right, man. Like, yep, I didn't realize I made the mistake. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care who you are, dude.
I would say, in a way, the review panel saves you the actual slings and arrows of the
comments.
The more,
saves you from the comment section.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, like, you kind of talked about it there, but like, what are the things that like make you say like, oh, we can't take this, or like what, like, is it like, it sounds too much like other stuff that you already have, or it's too simple, or what are like things that you run into that'll like make you say like no to whatever song that you hear, coming in?
Oh, sure. Oh, well, thank you. No, I mean, I thank you for the question, because it's making me realize what I'm sort of not speaking to, right? So one of the things, so when DJ Pretzel started OC Remix, one of the things, right, is we have our little funky little brand name of OC Remix, and it's actually capital R, lowercase e, capital M, remix. So it's got the mixed case. And the reason for that is because we are not actually a remix site. Now, it is our fault that everybody calls video game music arrangements remixes. But what a remix really is, like the actual definition of a remix, is you take the original audio and you manipulate it in some way, and you add to it, and splice it and dice it, and add your own audio on top of it, and integrate it with other stuff. But typically, what OC remixes is they are arrangements. And the definition of an arrangement is you take a composition and you adapt it to a different set of instruments. So instead of taking the audio from the original game and then saying, I'm going to stretch it, or I'm going to, transpose it somehow, or whatever. These are musicians that are either using a DAW, which is a digital audio workstation. They're either using, a computer program to, input the music, just told, and they'll sort of just arrange it in their own way. Or you'll have live performances or some sort of mixture of that, right? But it isn't actually sampling, right? We're not sampling the original audio. It's arrangers that are doing their own rendition of it for a different set of instruments. And so that's sort of the key difference. And, OC Remix is sort of a brand name and everything like that. We've totally screwed the pooch on that, because anybody will call any just sort of thing, like, there's, people just interchangeably say remix, arrangement, cover, like, like, and those are different things, right? Like what I would consider a cover is something where it can be an arrangement, right? But it's very, very straightforward, as in you basically retain the same tempo, rhythm, and style of the original song, but it's for piano, or it's for guitar, or it's for, I don't know, name some saxophone.
Oboe.
Who cares? Whatever. Oboe. Yeah. Oh, the oboe hobo. So, yeah, but in terms of what we're looking for, right? For I'll speak to the production quality first, because that's sort of easier to speak to, right? I mean, you need everything you need the sounds, especially if you're not using real live instruments, right? If you're using sampled stuff, it has to sound reasonably realistic. Like, it has to have some degree of sophistication to the sounds. You can't just take, general MIDI and send that to us. It's not going to sound good for, like, today's audio standard. Like, if all the musicians who worked with MIDI back in the day, in this day and age, they wouldn't use that. They would use more modernized samples and stuff like that. So everything needs to have an appropriate sense of space. Everything needs to sound reasonably sophisticated. If you're using a sample, it can't sound like completely robotic and stilted and lifeless. It's got to have some sort of humanization to it, so that it feels reasonably realistic. It doesn't have to be realistic, but it has to be somewhere in the realm of sophisticated. And the same with electronic stuff, right? Like, it can't just sound super vanilla and super dry with very basic beats and stuff like that. You have to have some sort of sophistication to the writing as well. So that kind of dips more into the arrangement side, right? Like, you can't just one for one. If we're doing the Super Mario Brothers theme, you can't just send it where's the how are we personalizing it? So change the tempo, change the rhythm, put it,
throw a big sub bass under there,
maybe, yeah, put it in a different key, add lyrics, do whatever you want to it. But the thing is, right, it's music. There's a million different ways to do something in a different way. We just need you to do enough so that you're still paying respect to the original music, but it can also stand apart enough from the original music. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
it's, you want to honor, because we believe in, we think arrangement is the best way to pay tribute to video game music, right? We've all heard really cool covers and, like, kind of, one for one, very straightforward, maybe like a sound upgrade and stuff like that. We've heard all that stuff on YouTube. That stuff is cool. I like it. I think we all do. The thing is, we feel like we are showing the most respect to the video game music composers that created this stuff by demonstrating the flexibility of the compositions through interpretation. If we can show, like, you can take the Super Mario Brothers theme and it can be jazz, or you could do dubstep, or you can make it sound like a cinematic cue, or it can be whatever you want, right? Like, you show the flexibility of the music through interpretation. We think that's the best way to pay tribute to it. And so that's why we do what we do. One of the other things I'll say real quick is that a lot of times that level of interpretation, it can throw people off, right? Because just as I said, right, we love super close cover. Us as fans, we would enjoy hearing, say, like, aquatic ambience from Donkey Kong Country, right? Beautiful theme and stuff like that. If we went to a live show of some sort, like, an orchestra or even a rock band, and if they played it, like, very close and stuff like that, we'd be like, yo, that's really cool. Like, I'm glad they did that. But if we can show that we can do it in some other different ways, I feel like the original composer would probably look at that and go, oh, shoot. Like, they'd be like, oh, okay, I didn't know you could do that. That's, like, you're blowing my mind with what you're doing. That's what the kind of reaction that we want to provoke. And so sometimes, though, that level of interpretation can throw people off because they have a very specific nostalgic itch that they want scratched, and we don't do it sometimes. Yeah. Like, we've got plenty of OC remixes that are melodically close, but they personalize the theme in other ways. Like, they'll add original counter melodies and stuff like that, or lyrics, or what have you. But sometimes you'll hear stuff where you're like, oh, what the fuck? Like, okay, this, and the mood will be totally different. Like, for example, I said aquatic ambience earlier, right? Like, we've got like a trap version of aquatic ambient. So we've got like noise. We've got like a noise version. Like, okay, it's abrasive, and a lot of people wouldn't like it.
Oh, you let noise on? Oh,
I mean, well, I don't know what you would call it, like, friggin' experimental or something like that, right? But and I'll I'll send it to you.
It's like 100 gex or something.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Because the thing is, right, one thing I don't want people to misunderstand, right? The objective of what we're doing, because some people go, oh, well, this doesn't fit the mood of the original game, and it doesn't sound like the original game and stuff. It's like, dude, it's not made for a next gen remake of the game. That's not why we're doing it, right? We're doing it to show a different side of the music, right? So I would just ask that, for anybody that's new or that goes, okay, yeah, I'm interested in what you guys do. If you go, oh, I love this theme from Pokemon, but like, oh, why is it metal now? Like, it never sounded like that in the original game. It's like, because it's not meant to be dropped into the original game. It's not meant to be dropped into like the Switch remake of the original game either. So let's not, don't just look at it through those restrictions. And keep an open mind to it, and hopefully you'll find some stuff that you like. I mean, look, I'll just say real quick, because I'm a known bloviator. Thank you guys for being very patient with me, because I'm a known bloviator. But I was mentioning some of the genres that people get pissed off at. Like, we've got anything that's dubstep, metal, rap, and hip hop, or if people add lyrics, people will hate that stuff. Like, a lot of video game music fans, they go like, yeah, I just want instrumental music. Like, most video game music is instrumental. And, some of those other genres, they're like, polarizing genres. On the flip side of it, I've dead to rights seen people go, you know what? I thought I hated dubstep, but I heard this Zelda dubstep. Mm-hmm. Okay, now I get it. This is good. I love this. Because I understand what you're referencing and everything, I've got the frame of reference there. Okay, I can rock with this. Like, I'm cool with this. But I used to hate it, or like, I hated metal. But okay, I heard the Pokemon, battle music, and it's like metal. Okay, this sounds good. I'm on board. Okay, I was closed-minded before, but now I'm more open-minded. And we hope that, if you have a particular theme or something like that, and you've got some nostalgia for it, that you'll go, okay, well, I'll give this more of a chance, right? I mean, there's always a possibility that people won't. But it has opened some eyes and ears to that stuff. And then on the flip side of it as well, as I said, I was a fan and I didn't know a lot of the music. Well, I've certainly been introduced to a lot of music, and by way of that, a lot of games through OC Remix as well. And that's why I always recommend, like, look, don't just stick to the stuff that Don't just stick to the nostalgia. Try everything. Like, we have torrents available. We've even got like when I responded in the tweeter to y'all, I said, "Oh, it's time to catch up." Like, here's the big link to all the mega pack. This has got everything in it, and it's like, it was never the wonderful thing about what we have going is that, like, we haven't stopped. Like, that's the thing that I fucking love about OC Remix is, like, it's so steadfast and it's there. Is that, like, dude, you can dip out for 10 years and you come back and you go, oh shit, like, they're still around. Yeah, what did I miss? Like, oh shit, they're still here. They're still doing stuff. And I think it's like, it's bigger and better than ever. Like, I'm loving it. I mean, we've got a nice little streak going. We've posted a new track every day without exception for 45 days. And I'll see how long I can keep it going. I don't know how long, but I mean,
you need one of those signs behind you. Place every 45 days.
How many days since not releasing a song? This many days maybe without no.
Yeah, we've released a song every day since New Year's Eve last year. So nice. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, go get it. Go get it.
I think it's it's just great to hear. When I go to OC Remix, personally, I go there because I don't want to hear the exact songs from the game. Like, if I hear a mix that's like too similar, like, I think that's very few and far between on your site. But I tend to go toward the ones that go more experimental. I want to hear, and I go there because I want to hear people's impressions of the music that we all heard when we played the games. I want to hear their impressions thrown back at me in a new and different way. I'm looking at one of my that I have on my phone from your site that I listen to all the time. There's a remix of the Super Mario Brothers theme song, the basic video game theme song, if there ever was one, that we've all heard millions of times.
Athletic theme.
But every time I hear this one, it kind of breaks my brain a little bit, even though I've been listening to it for 20 years. It's the Super Mario Brothers Dirty Mix.
Dirty Mix, yep.
Dirty Mix. You know that one?
Oh, yeah. It's by a scholar and a physician, a rich BRF and Binster. Yeah. What is it? Yeah, I mean, right, that came out even before I had heard of the website myself, right? So that's super old school. But yeah, that Dirty Mix, like, man, for anybody, that's a great introduction. Like, that's a tremendous introduction to what we do.
Just at every turn,
it's kind of nuts to think that song came out less time after the original game than since then.
True. Yeah.
Passage of time, baby. Passage of time.
True. I love that kind of stuff. I love stuff that gets creative and it doesn't feel such an adherence or a loyalty to the original source music, that it can actually do something new and exciting and make the Super Mario Brothers theme song that we're all to some degree kind of sick of at some point.
Not you, no, you do not, John. You do not speak for me. I grew up on that theme. I love that theme. I'm pointing right at you. No. You do hex on you. I'm not tired of that theme, baby. Yeah. Never. What am I tired of? No, I'm kidding. No, you know what? Let me say this though, because a lot of times, like, somebody will ask me in an interview, they go like, okay, 4,000 tracks. There's got to be some themes you're fucking tired of hearing. Like, they got to stop sending this stuff in. Like, what the fuck?
No,
right? Yeah, right.
Chrono Trigger.
So, like, Shala's theme from Chrono Trigger, Terra's theme from Final Fantasy VI.
Oh yeah.
I saw Trey's background there. Like, Wily's theme from Mega Man 2, the Wily Castle theme. As you said, John, the Mario Overworld theme, stuff like that, right? So the thing is, I can't say that yet, because we've got some stuff where we've certainly got, I think like Aquatic Ambience, we just posted, oh my God, let me say real quick there. So we just posted one by Emunator, who I was talking about earlier, my friend Wes, who's on the judges panel. And he just came out with this Aquatic Ambience arrangement called Ancient Relics that we just posted a couple of days ago. Like, throw that into the show. Like, throw that in the show. Like, this is my personal request. Like, post produce it, whatever. Just throw it in the show.
That would be true.
Say, like, email it to me after we're done talking or something, so I can remember it. And I'll put it in.
So, absolutely. So I'll email it to you right away. So the reason why I bring that up is because we have some themes that over time have emerged as like VGM standards. Even in like sort of the jazz scene in like New York and everything like that, people are coming up with what they call like the VGM fake book, right? Like, jazz has had the fake book for decades, where, right, there are just certain standards that are just accepted within the jazz community as like, these are inherent to the culture of what we do. And so it's good that you would know these. And video game music is kind of emerged in that way, where you have, no matter what, you've got the themes that stand like head and shoulders above the others, or like in the hall, or like in the VGM Hall of Fame, like Aquatic Ambience.
Yeah.
And so somebody will go like, is there a theme that you're tired of? And my honest to God answer, even if I weren't involved with OC remixes, no. Because you'll think you've heard every idea that could be done with a theme, and you're like, oh man, like Shala's theme again, And then when you listen, you go, oh shit. You go, oh, no way. What? No. Really? Oh, shoot. I can't believe it. So I will say, I've been shocked numerous times where I go like, it's not even that I'm tired of the theme or I hate it or I don't want to hear it, but it's just more like, what else can be done? And I'll be shocked. So yeah, you can go to OC Remix right now and you can sort. We have a songs listing and you can sort it by the number of remixes. And so you can go there, and I promise you'll go to one of the ones that's got, more than 25 arrangements on there, and you'll be like, dude, what? No, I don't believe it. So yeah, pick like, the overworld theme for Super Mario Brothers 1, and Dirty Mix is one great example. But another great one that I love is by a New York arranger, Schnabubala. It's called Mario Likes Thorazine. It's basically the overworld theme for like it's like chamber music in a way, like small orchestral ensemble. It's magnificent. I'll send that one too. You don't have to like play it. Otherwise, I mean, I could literally just be like, play this one and play that one and do that one and do this one. But there's so many great renditions of like the old reliable themes that you think are corny and played out, and they're just not, man. They're good. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. So, and on the flip side, I'll just say the other thing is some people will think because we've got 30 arrangements of stuff, the Zeal theme from Chrono Trigger or something like that, OC Remix, all they want is just, the popular games and stuff like that. Dude, hell no. We want any game. Like, any game can be represented. It doesn't matter if the game came out last week. It doesn't matter if the game came out for the, Atari. We don't even have any Atari stuff yet. Maybe like one track from the Atari ST, but I'm talking about like, the 7800 or whatever. Like,
how much music was there on the Atari? It was just,
I don't know. I mean, there's not much that you could,
you
there's
can make
not much
something
that
out
you
of
could
it.
work with.
Bongo bongo.
Maybe. But all I'm saying is that, in terms of what the musicians arrange, like, we never try to steer people like, you have to arrange this, or we prefer the old stuff, and don't fuck with this new stuff. No, I mean, I think like probably the most recent game that we have an arrangement for, I think the most recent would probably be Stray, I think.
Okay.
So, like, dude, it's all open. Like, we want it all. We don't care. There was no bias here. So, send it. And, we don't have fans, we don't allow fans to submit on behalf of other people. Like, oh, this is awesome, you should post this. But, encourage your favorite YouTuber, like, send it in. We want it. And one of the things I want to be more intentional about going forward is, the community manager is just, I had in my head, there's so many times where maybe because I felt like I wasn't as established in the community or anything, that even though I was a judge, I would never pull people aside and be like, send this in, go ahead, you should do it. So I want to be a little bit more intentional about that, like trying to find more people to just say like, hey, welcome to the circle. Because one of the things that happens is we have such a reputation of, it's a high bar and it can appear very difficult to get in. And so I have to sometimes tell people like, yo, please don't talk yourself out of submitting stuff. Don't get scared and don't get afraid of like the process. Just send it in. Like a lot of times people will self-reject their own stuff because they don't have the confidence in it. Whereas if they just sent it, like, let us decide. Like, we'll pick it apart and we'll tell you what we need, and we want to help you. If it's not there, we want to help you get it there. But a lot of times, and we even had this conversation just this past week with people in our judges panel where I said, yo, what is this about imposter syndrome? Like, let's talk about that a little bit. And they'll go like, yeah, even though I've been on the judges panel for years, I've been afraid to send stuff in because I don't have the full faith and confidence in it. And I'm like, oh my God, like, if you guys who are trusted to know where the bar is, right? Like, we literally empower you to decide what's there. And they go, yeah, it's like, I feel like it could make it, but I'm not sure. And it's like, oh Jesus, like, we have to like deprogram everybody and get them to loosen it up so that we can have 9,000 tracks on the website instead of our measly little 4,300 that we've got. So I'll work on it.
Oh, I just wanted to add one. Hold on before we get to the next thing. When you were talking about like having music on there, specific things and all that, you are credited for like specific songs, and you say you don't write music. Like, what do you do in those songs that you're credited for? Because I found a couple while you were talking here.
You did. Don't worry. I don't have any. Like I said, I don't have any talent, and I would not lie to you, gentlemen, about having any talent. So I do have a voice, and occasionally I've lent my voice to some tracks, but it's always in some sort of cheeky, non-serious manner. And so I have some performer credits where my voice is in there. Like, what was the track? Funky Monkey Love.
Yeah,
I'm in there. It was a Donkey Kong arrangement, and I played the part of Funky Kong. And so I threw in a little verse, a little rhyming verse, and it took me 2 minutes to write it. It took me then 1 minute to do one take, and then another minute to do a second take, and then boom. So in 5 minutes, I was an OC remixer.
Nice.
Yeah, you're a musician.
So, I am not a musician. I don't have any. I swear to God, I don't have any talent. But I will say this. I do have a lot of ideas. I do have a lot of wonderful musical ideas that I have no way no way to do anything with. However, the judge who I mentioned a couple of times already now before, Emunator, he did that Ancient Relics Donkey Kong Country arrangement that I recommended that we showcase here. He actually joined the judges panel as a listener. He was not a musician when he joined. He then, after being involved on the staff level at OC Remix, then he started making music. So we do have those stories of people coming in as just listeners and being involved in the process and being able to kind of, in a general way, speak that language of music, or at least speak the language of what makes for a good arrangement. And he came in and he is just a phenomenal musician. Like, he could be a pro right now. And he's actually looking to start that, to start like full time as a musician. And so, I mean, it's like, he's more than capable of it. I have full faith in him. And, the community is capable of fashioning more people like that. I am not one of them. I don't have any, I say that over and over again. I don't just have fun being deprecating about myself. I was a kid. I pirated, FL, Fruity Loops back in the day. Now it's FL Studio. I pirated Fruity Loops back in the day. I was like, oh, let me see what this is about. Because I thought, oh, it'd be cool to make, video game music arrangements.
Me
and stuff.
too.
And then, yeah, right. And so then I touched one of the keys on the piano roll, and some effect. It did like a warbly, like do 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 do, and I'm like, oh no, okay, oh no. I was just like, okay, I'm a punk and I'm intimidated, like, not for me. And I kind of, I stay in my lane. But yeah, all the stuff where I'm credited, it's just my voice is in something. Like I think the latest one, there was a Final Fantasy IV mix.
Yeah,
I'm way in the background. Yeah. There was a big choir. It was like a choir of like 20 people. And so, if you throw me in with a choir of 20 people, I'll sound half decent if you can, use what works and cut down what doesn't work and stuff like that. So yeah, anybody, the other thing that's kind of cool, right? I mean, right, I'm an OC remixer, but again, not because I'm an arranger, but as a performer, yeah. I mean, if you want to help with that and you think there's something you can lend to the picture, you can definitely do that. When we have, I mentioned that we have 100 albums that we've put out so far as well, right? Those are community-led albums. Like, there's no, we're all volunteers, right? We don't get paid. I don't get paid, even though I'm the community manager and stuff like that. Nobody's taking like a salary. Nobody's taking any, just like money from the side for Ferraris and shit. Like, we're all doing it for the love of the video game music. And so with the community albums that we have, we'll have people email us sometimes like, oh, I would love to do an album for this, but like, I'm a nobody. I don't even have any background in the community. Like, can y'all make it happen? I'm like, you make it happen. Like, you don't need to be anybody. If you, send in your, if you're a musician and yeah, sometimes people will go, I don't know anybody. Like, I feel like, is it like a big clique? Like, do you have to be friends with somebody? They're like, no, what are you talking about? We don't get 1,500 contributors by like, everybody has to be clicked and, no, like, nah, just send it in. It's all good. And if you want to arrange a community album project, just like start a forum post or come join our Discord and go, hey, I would love to make an arrangement album for like, Sonic Adventure 2. And if you want to do that and you can find enough people that are like, oh shit, I love Sonic Adventure. Sure. I mean, we've got people that will jump in. Like, that's the thing, right? When it's a broad enough community, you've got people that'll go, I love Sonic Adventure 2. I want to do it. And some people will just go like, oh, the challenge of an album, I want to do it too. Like, hey, have you played Sonic Adventure? Hell no. Of course I haven't. But they'll do it too. So, there's all sorts of contributors there. And you don't have to be special. You are special. Come by and if you've got the, as long as you've got the perseverance and the willingness to nag people, you can make anything happen. Like, come on, enjoy.
See, so I was sort of I don't think it's necessarily an aside, but when you were saying earlier, because you've been kind of leading with, I'm not a musician, but I have an ear for stuff. You know who else is like that? Who's extremely famous in the music industry? Rick Rubin.
Yes, Rick Rubin.
So you're like, because you're kind of like Rick Rubin of OC Remix.
Sad to say, I'm much poorer than Rick Rubin, but yes, no, absolutely, no. You know what? And I appreciate you. Thank you, Jeremy, for saying that, because I heard that his book was really awesome, and I do need to read that.
Yeah.
So thank you for putting that back on my radar. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, Rick Rubin is,
and he's been involved in like all over the spectrum of genres and stuff too, in history of music.
Absolutely.
So when you
totally
review your
right.
OC remixes, are you just laying back like with no shoes on and just kind of long hair flowing in the window when the sunlight hit you?
I have a nice pair of so Gray Lightning, one of the judges there, when I joined, I go like, hey man, like, I just have a bum ass pair of headphones. Like, what can I listen to that's nice? Like, what can I use that'll be cheap, relatively inexpensive, but it'll be good. And so I've had the same pair of Sennheiser HD 497s for 22 years of being a judge. Has it been 22 years? No, I'm sorry, almost 20 years of being a judge at OC Remix. So it'll be 20 years for me in July. And I've used that same pair ever since I started. But he said, like, I mean, and he was a professional audio engineer. He's like, this is what you need. Like, this is about $60, good for your range. It's got great response and like all the frequencies. That's what you need. I'm like, okay, awesome. Thank you. Like, I can trust what you say. And yeah, I stuck with that. Yeah, I mean, listen,
these headphones that I have right here, these Sennheiser 280 Pros. I've had these for like over 20 years. They're actually all taped together on the top.
Trey's an audio professional, by the way. We haven't mentioned that. I have electric tape like all around the sides because it kind of came apart on the top. But yeah, these are my original recording headphones that I got in like, I don't know, 2004 or something like that. Maybe before that. I don't know.
And I do have a backup pair just in case, because the 497s have been discontinued like years ago, but I love them so much that I got a backup pair. And I paid like $90 for the backup pair because I couldn't, on like eBay or something, that or whatever. You can find them cheaper now. But yep, just in case. I'm like, just in case. Yeah, what is it? But yeah, no. I mean, I love the Rick Rubin comparison. I definitely don't feel worthy of that, although I'm super flattered by that. And there's probably more parallels than I'm willing to admit. And so, no, I love that. Like, look, I mean, as I said, right, I've gotten to travel the world and stuff like that. And one of the coolest things that OC Remix as a community got to do is back in 2008, Capcom asked us to do the Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD remix soundtrack. So when Street Fighter 2 was revived on, Xbox 360 and PS3, we did the arranged soundtrack for that. And that was because one of our community members, Shale Riley, had done in 2006, they did a Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo tribute album called Blood on the Asphalt. Well, the Capcom staff, they were using it like at E3 and stuff like that. They were playing it in the booth and everything like that. And so when it became real that they were going to bring Street Fighter back, they invited us to use those tracks from the Blood on the Asphalt album and then, fill in whatever gaps we could with more, newly created music for it. And we got on a Street Fighter soundtrack. That's fucking crazy.
That's incredible.
And I was like assistant director on that soundtrack. And it's crazy. Like, dude, Street Fighter 2.
I hope you got paid for that.
No, we're dumb fans. We're dumb. No, we got swagged out. We got absolutely swagged out by Capcom. So we did get some really cool stuff.
Oh, yeah, I bet you did.
But so that's the difference between me and Rick Rubin. Like, Rick Rubin is smart enough to charge, whereas I don't charge. But what is it? So yeah, no, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix. I'm like, whoa, my name is in a Street Fighter game. Like, it's in the credits. I'm in Moby Games. Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I would have never. That's like a bucket list item I never knew I could get. And like, that's fucking cool. And that's cool for all 20 musicians that were on the soundtrack as well. Like to have that credited on there. And I mean, again, right, just since then, all the musicians that have had stuff. I mean, I used to keep on our little site wiki like a little list of like, oh, okay, here's all the musicians that have done a soundtrack here and there, and they've got credits here. And like I stopped maintaining it in like 2012 or something because it's just there's too many now. Like there's hundreds. Like there's too many. I can't, whether they're voice actors or UI UX people or musicians or audio directors or whatever. There's just too many people in our scene that are in the professional realm now I mean, that's cool. I mean, and then I said way back, right? Like they're people that I'm jealous of them because they have a lot of talent. Like I said, Zircon, he does the music sample company, makes games and stuff like that. There's probably our most famous member these days that's still active in the community is Joe Zija, and he's a voice actor. And he many years ago, I don't know if you guys saw the Star Fox, The Battle Begins, and like the animated short. It was like 11 minutes long.
Oh yeah.
So Joe is the voice of Fox McCloud in that.
Oh, that's cool.
Like that's our guy. Like he goes by Expert Novice. So anybody, please check out his songs on OC Remix. And he's one of our 10 judges right now that's on the site. So even though we are beneath him, I knew him before he was famous and before he did all that stuff. But now he could easily just be like, guys, I've got a successful voice acting career, like all that, I happy trails, but he's still involved. He came up through us. So, and he found a home there. Right. And, beyond just being, beyond being a voice actor, which he only started maybe like five or 6 years ago or something. And now he's doing he in Fire Emblem Three Houses, he's the voice of Claude Von Regan.
Okay.
And in Genshin Impact, he's Risley. So he's voiced major characters and major stuff, and he's done lots of smaller roles too, but he's been in anime, and he's been in plenty of video games. He's also he's ex Air Force, I think. He does parkour, and he's a published sci-fi author with Tor books.
Wow.
Guys, what?
Does this person ever sleep?
I don't know, but he probably looks buff and sexy doing it because of all the cool shit that he does. So, I mean, we've got I don't even know what thread I'm taking on with this, but we've worked on some really cool projects, whether it's individually or as a community. I mean, even for I mentioned Danny Baranowski and how we came up through OCR and how that paid back eventually is OC Remix. We did one of the remix soundtracks for Crypt of the Necrodancer. So there's Family Jewels did one, Chipsel. And we've got our own, the Crypt of the Necrodancer Overclocked. So all of our dudes, right? And that's just a love letter to, thank you, Danny B. He started with us, and he's said in interviews, OC Remix is his home base. And to think that we've had somebody that's already made such a huge impact, whether it's Jay Kaufman, whether it's Danny B, whether it's people that have come through, since then, Will Roger, who's done several Mortal Kombat soundtracks and Star Wars soundtracks and stuff like that. He's somebody that's been a contributor. Dale North is somebody that's really been coming up. Alex Mukala, who does amazing funk videos and stuff like that. He's somebody that's contributed in the past. Kevin Penkin, he's done he's done lots of video game scores, but also anime scores as well. There's too many talented people, but I mean, bring them more, bring them we want them. I don't know what to say other than I love what they've been doing, and I hope it continues for a long time.
When someone makes a submission, I'm interested to know what's the process of how that submission bounces back and forth between the judges, and what's the voting process, and who gives the final say, if there's someone who gives the final say, all that. If you can just kind of speak on that.
Oh, sure. Okay. And I'll keep it briefer than the way that I bloviate for everything else. But so the way that it works, right? So currently we have a panel of 10. The administrator of OC Remix right now is Sharik Ansari, who is Dark Sword, and he's a former judge as well. He is our poobah now that DJ Pretzel has retired, and as he said in his own words, gone home to be a family man like Guile. So what is it? So he'll be our tiebreaker if we ever need one. But we have 10 judges, and essentially we have a submission form on the website. You can go to our forums and see where it has the submissions tracker. You can submit your stuff through there. You tell us, what your name is, what your musician name is, and a little bit about why you made the arrangement and what video game music you're arranging. We will put it to our panel of judges. We have a little private forum that we have where we post up all the, the information along with the songs and the arrangement, and we will listen to it and just there's no rule of like, whoever gets to it. And if you get 3 unanimous no votes, it's a rejection. If you get 4 unanimous yes votes, it is accepted. If you split, then it is a difference of 3. So if you get 5 yes votes and 2 no, that's a yes. If you get 3 yes votes and 6 no's, that's a no. And so that's kind of how our process works, right? Like you need less vote. If it's going to be unanimous, we've probably established that it's a clear, winner or loser, and we send it on its way. If we get a split vote, which is where it gets dicey, then more judges end up having to come in. There's no rule on like, hey, if it's this, because I've been asked this before, like, if it's a certain genre, does that mean like the rock judge gets it or like the orchestral judge? No, like we test people and we have people listen to several submissions if we want to interview them to be a judge, and which is actually a surprisingly rigorous process where we'll give you say like 7 or 8 tracks and we'll say, give us your feedback as if you were a judge. So don't say it like you're talking to us. Say it like you're giving feedback to the artist. Let us know what you think. And you're evaluating it, as I said earlier, on production quality and arrangement creativity. And if you're in sync with the standards of OC Remix and where the bar is, and you're not too lenient and you're not too harsh, then welcome aboard and we'll have you as one of our evil judges. And so, once we get a sufficient amount of votes and we, decide either way, if it's a no, then we publish the votes publicly, right? So it's a matter of public record. So, and everybody can read, and it makes it sound more juicy and where's the dirt, but it's really just about the transparency, right? Like, hey, here's what we thought. The comments are there. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And we always say, like, listen, we try to be as subjective as possible, but it's music, right? So it's subjective by design. Like there's nothing you can do about that, but we do try to be as objective as possible. So there's plenty of OC remixes where I said, personally, it's not my thing, but it clearly it's a pass. Like I'm down with it. Or I've said, God, I love this track. Like in a vacuum, this is amazing, but because of ABCXYZ, we can't pass it. And sometimes it'll be like, look, this is very well made, but you only, let's say it's a 5-minute. Let's make it simple. Yeah, it's a 5-minute track. You only reference the video game music for like 90 seconds. So there's not enough video game music. We can't accept it. Like, I love what you did, but you got to give me more like of the video game music. Sometimes that'll happen. Sometimes it'll happen where the arrangement is great, but like I said with my friend Wes, Emunator, the mixing is messed up. Like this is well written, but this is jacked up. Like we can't roll with it. Like you're gonna have to tweak it and make it so that it's not as abrasive, or it doesn't sound like it's 50 feet down the hall. It's got to be reasonably produced. So stuff will happen like that. And then if it's accepted, we don't publicize the decision until the music is posted. But, if the arranger needs to see it or they want to tweak it before it gets posted, they can do that. We'll send them the information. But we have our little, we have like a dashboard, as it were, that the public can see. They can see the votes in progress. They don't get to read what we say, but they get to see what the count is, like 1 yes and 2 no's, or, 3 yeses, or it's on the cusp. And then there's a list of what's ready to be posted. And gosh, we have such a backlog because it's a great community. So we've probably got like 100 tracks waiting to be posted. It's like, it's a killer, but like I said, one a day, we'll chip away at it. We'll catch it up there. But that's pretty much how the process works. Like we just have our folks listen to it and give their, honest feedback. And, I will say as far as sort of the human dynamic of it, right? Like, we've had people be pissed, right? Like, fuck these guys. Like, what the hell? Why are you turning my shit down? We've had that. I can say, because we've done it for a while, we've also had the flip side of it of, I mentioned, people that started as scrubs and then they've grown and, they've gotten, hardened by the process, right? Like pressure makes diamonds and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. We've also had plenty of people just be like, fuck these motherfuckers. I hate these guys. Like they suck. They don't recognize my brilliance and, and we'll never hear from them again or whatever. And then thankfully, though, we've had plenty of people who go, you know what? And this includes some of the people who are judges or have been judges, since then. We've had plenty of people that go, you know what? I fucking hated you guys. But 5 years later, I'm reading back what you said. God damn it, you were so right, and I just wasn't seeing it. That's not to say we're, because it'll sound like I'm saying, oh, we're so perfect, we know everything, we're right about everything. We've been wrong. We've been wrong on occasion. We've had, and thankfully it's rare, because we encourage people to say, like, hey, if you don't agree with the decision, like, let us know. If you're pissed, let us know. And so we've had people go like, hey, I don't know why you rejected it, but I'm upset, and like, I'm going to be real measured about it, but I'm mad, and I don't know. And I've had stuff where I've gone like, hey, what? Like, wait a minute, I know who that is. Let me listen back. And then I'll go, wait a minute, why the hell did the judges reject this? Like, it'll be something I didn't vote on. I'd be like, wait, the judges rejected this? No way. I've flipped the table. I've been like, we fucked up. Like, I had one, there's a great one by this arranger, Laura Platt. It's a very brief Mega Man 9 arrangement, but for piano, a beautiful piano waltz piece. So she had sent it in, and it got rejected maybe like 3 years ago. And I think I randomly saw her on Twitter, and she said, like, you know what? I don't submit to OC Remix anymore because they rejected one of my pieces, and there was like, I didn't agree with the feedback, and there's literally like nothing I can do to address this feedback. And so I went to read it, and I go, I listened to the track, which I'd never heard before, and I go, you know what? She's right. And I moved it back to the panel 3 years after the rejection, and I said, you know what? I can't necessarily I'm just one guy, but I'm telling you, I agree with what she said. She's right. I think this was a mistake to reject this. And so maybe we'll still reject it, but I'm going to move it back. And everybody, like, to a man, went, oh my God, what the hell? We were totally wrong. And like, flip. and we posted it. And thank God we did. But it's like, we're all human, and we can make mistakes too. And so we just want, communication is the key. And if we screw up, let us know. And even if you're mad, because it's not like Laura reached directly out to us and said, you need to fix it. She was just griping, online, but I saw it and I took it seriously, And so, because I want to pay, proper respect to people that are criticizing the process. So we'll look back on it. But, overall, we have had people, though, still that have said, you know what? I didn't agree at the time, but when I look back, I get what you're saying, and I needed to grow to understand that I thought I was the shit, and it wasn't there yet. But now I'm the shit. So, we've got plenty of war stories of that too.
Nice.
I'd say with anything anybody does as they're getting better at it, like, that's how it works. You think you understand, but you don't. So the next time you do something, you're like, well, actually, I want to do this little thing better. But before you know it, you're doing all that tweaking yourself. So it's like that initial feedback could be very, soul sucking for somebody that thought they did everything right. But if they were objective about it, they were like, wait, this means I need to learn more about this. And maybe going back to the drawing board could benefit them in music in general, not just for this particular song.
No, absolutely. And, part of it, as I was saying way back, was like, again, the olden days was the Wild West of like, LOL, what the fuck, barbecue, this sucks. And stuff was very harsh and dismissive back in the day. I was a part of that. Like, I came in, and that was the climate that I came into. And it'll seem like I'm saying, oh, I just wanted to go along to get along, and like, that's what it was. It was just more like, dude, I mean, just stupid and, young and ignorant and dumb. And not realizing that, like, I mean, how are you going to engender, good vibes with people if you're just like, man, that fucking sucked, bro. Like, back to the drawing board. That's not how we do it. And so thankfully, Gray Lightning was a judge where he never overtly said, like, guys, we need to shape it up. But what he would do was praise the people that were going more in depth. And as we would have some of the old guard flow out and new people would come in, he was very involved in the process of trying to find people that were good at communicating. And so that was like his quiet way of sort of just building up to what things are right now. So even though Gray Lightning is, long since left the community, that kind of impact still pays dividends now, where like when we look for judges, if you're too harsh, not just about where your bar is, but in how you communicate. Like, if you're a dick, what the fuck? Like, and we can have, and we have some judges that can be really blunt and be like, man, like, this is messed up, this is jacked up, and like that. But at the same time, and you have to read what they're saying. But when stuff is clicking, they're also like, bravo, like this is crushing it. And so as long as you're there and you can, be a positive, influence, that's an important part of the process these days as well, man. You got to be encouraging, man. You can't be there trying to crush dreams. Like even if something is a no, it can eventually become a yes, given the right amount of dedication.
Yeah. Everybody who submits is putting their heart out to a little bit, and why stamp on it like that? Gotta lift people up even when they've not done their best. Lift people up. That's a good motto.
Yeah, no, music is very personal. And I'll say one more angle, and I'm sure I've talked enough, but I'll say one more angle sort of in terms of just me being the community manager, right? I am good at some things. I didn't say I was good at music, and I'm not. I am good at some things. One of the things that was really important for me, so my day job is I'm the digital fundraising projects manager for Habitat for Humanity. That's my day job here in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm a nonprofit, like I'm nonprofit through and through. I was at Jimmy Carter's nonprofit, the Carter Center, for 12 and a half years. Like, I mean, I love doing things that can help people. And, I'm not going to be sort of like out there in the field and like, going abroad and doing all this, cool stuff and, building houses, but I can help the people who build the houses. You know what I mean? Like it's, that's sort of, it's like indirect. It was like one thing when I was interviewing for jobs and stuff like that, and I eventually landed up at Habitat, one of the things I realized, and that's really important for people, like when they're, job hunting and you want to find something that's good. I realized I said for like a different job that I also got offered for like alumni. It would have been like at Emory for some alumni fundraising and stuff like that. I said, one of the things that it'll sound like I have no ambition. I get my energy from highlighting the good work that other people are doing. So that's why I make like a great community manager, because I'm like, look at what this musician's doing. Like, holy shit. Like, it's not like, Larry, I don't do anything. And that's maybe that's part of the charm of like, I don't make any music. It's like, I can't be like, oh, and check out my project. Right. I'm like, look at what they're doing. This is great. Look at the soundtrack somebody made. Look at this arrangement somebody made. One of the other cool things that I've done though, is that when I was doing my, job hunting, because I hadn't looked for a job in like 11 years at the time. And I was like, oh shit, I don't know what the fuck. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing at all. I had to start, redo my resume all over again and figure out what to do. And I found all these resources. Well, at the end of my job search, I was so hyped. It was so fun that I'm like, oh shit, let me help everybody else. And so since then, I have helped within the video game music scene. I've helped 7 people redo their resumes and get new jobs since I got my new job.
Wow.
Because it's like, so for me, right, the role of community manager isn't just, hey, OC Remix, look at all this music we've got. It's so great. You should listen. There's that too, right? But like, I am a community manager. Like those people, all those contributors, like they're my people. And so, I'll tell one story about that, and then you like kick me out the door and like continue the show. But so there's one super talented musician. She goes by Tara C Music. Would recommend checking her stuff out. She's on OCR. And like about maybe like a year and a half ago, this was not too long after I got my new job, and so like all the skills were fresh and stuff. And so she had posted on her, I think like on her Twitter and I think on her Facebook, and she had been doing music videos for a couple years and stuff like that. And she said, I think I'm done being a content creator. And there was such disappointment, like evident from that, because I'd known, even though like, I'm, from afar and that kind of thing, I know that she had put a lot of her heart and soul into making, cool music videos, stuff that was really creative. And, knowing her stuff, very, very well performed, and it's good. And not every talented person ends up finding an audience, which is unfortunate, but is the fact of the matter. And when I saw her message, I saw a lot of people respond on her Twitter and Facebook like, oh, keep your head up, and that sucks, but just got to stay the course, and things will be good. Or like, hey, well, no matter what happens, I've got your back, and good luck, and yada yada. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I get where those people are coming from. They're trying to help her out, and like they're trying to send good vibes and keep her in a positive frame of mind. But I think she needs a little bit more than just the positive encouragement. So I reached out to her, like, and we had not talked before. But again, she was she's an OC remixer. So to me, she's my community. And I said, listen, take it or leave it, no worries. Wouldn't be offended if you said no. I saw what you said. Would you like me to take a look at your resume? And she's like, yeah, like totally, absolutely. So she is amazing. She is a really, just an energetic, she's an energetic young person. I'm saying we're I'm middle-aged and old, but like, bruh, she's enthusiastic and driven. And so we worked together for maybe like 4 hours a day for 3 days, and like took it from this resume is really basic and rudimentary to this is popping. This is showing everything it needs to show. This is like, I'll say real quick, is just like, the one thing people need to understand about a resume is that a resume is not a list of responsibilities. A resume is a list of accomplishments. And if you can understand that you have to quantify as best as you can your impact at like your various jobs and stuff, and show how you've left every place better than you found it. If you can show what your impact is at all these spots that you've been at, that's a killer resume. And so we took it from, okay, this is a weak 1-page resume to this is a poppin' 2-page resume. And this is great. And we also came up with a better 1-page version as well. And so she figured, I'm trying to get into video game music. I want to be like a composer. I want to be in audio and stuff, but I can't get in that way directly. So what I'm going to do is try to go the QA route. Now, for anybody that knows, in the games industry, a lot of people, whether it's, writers, developers, musicians, a lot of people start in QA, game testing, bugs, looking for all that. And that's sort of the way to like, peek that door open and creep through and walk in and get started in the video game industry. And so she said, I think I'm going to try to do QA. I would love to do that and get started and, find my place in this industry. But I can't find anything. So we got the resume popping, and I said, okay, look, I mentioned Zircon before, right? Again, he made Tangle Deep, and he's got Flowstone Saga coming out in April. And so, he's making his own games. I said, okay, Tara, I want you to go talk to Andy, go talk to Zircon. And, that's my boy. Like, I was best man at his wedding. Like, we're tight. You can talk to him and keep it 100% real. So you don't need to be on like your best behavior of, don't keep it business. Like whatever you're stressed about and concerned about, talk to him and keep it 100 with him. And just like, what are you looking for? And so a couple days later, she messaged me on Discord and she goes, Larry, in like all capital letters. I'm like, what? What's going on? Oh shit. Like what's going on? All right. You told me to talk to Andy. And I did. And it turns out he needs a part-time QA person for his new game that's coming out. So he gave me a job doing part-time QA. I'm like, oh shit. So from that, right, she was able to do that for a while. And because now she had part-time QA that she could add on her resume, the companies that weren't calling her before saw the QA experience now on the resume. Then they started calling her back. So we got her from making the Twitter post, making the Facebook. I think I'm done being a YouTube creator. Got her from, do the resume, talk to Andy, get the part-time, to getting the interviews and getting her first full-time gig in games, 3 months.
Wow.
Start to finish to get it. And soup to nuts, got her started on the journey and got her finished on it. And I coached her up. Here's how we do the cover letter. Here's how we do interviews. Like, all round 1, round 2, round 3, like exactly what you need to do and everything like that, and coached her up. And like, that's the role of the community manager. That's what I like to do.
Damn.
That's the kind of stuff.
Nice. That's a remix.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. So I'm stacking them up like the Infinity Gauntlet, baby. I've got my gems. I got 7 gems. Yeah. They're all, and I'm growing it. And I don't charge anything for it, right? Those are my people. Like,
I think you're a rare bird in that regard. Like you're a important person in this sort of world.
Rick Rubin, right? I'll take it. I'll definitely.
I don't know if Rick Rubin's helping people redo their resume though. I mean, that's some Something like getting in the trenches to help people,
Oh, that's because he's too important. He could just sprinkle the Reuben dust on them and lift up their careers and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a full service community manager. You can look at it that way.
Sounds like it.
Definitely.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Larry, while you're here, I got to get your quick thoughts on my top 5. We did our X-Pac episode of our favorite remixes, and so here's mine real quick. I got from Super Mario Brothers 3, Battle Rocks by Am I Evil. That's my number 5. That's my number 5.
Very nice.
I love
it sounds like if the Blues Brothers did a Mario Brothers theme, it would sound like Battle Rocks. So yeah,
I agree with that one. I got number 4, Little Nemo, The Dream Master, Nightmare King's Dream by Shane Barber.
Wow. No way. Little Nemo. Did you play it as a kid, John? Or
I did. Yeah, it was one of my favorite NES games. Yeah. Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. That's awesome.
I just love Shane's remix, how it just kind of goes all over the place. And I said on the show, it kind of takes you on a journey. I feel like tells a story. And it's like a cathartic experience. I didn't expect that from the Little Nemo remix, but I got it. So
well done. Cool. Well done.
I got number 3.
All right.
DuckTales, Duck Blur by Star Salzman.
Star Salzman is a legend. He's amazing. Yeah, he's got a ton of great stuff. On his website, I don't know if it's still up, but starblast.org, he is a hell of a singer-songwriter. Like, I wish he would pop off or something like that, because he's an amazing singer-songwriter. His original stuff is really, really cool too. So I'm really glad that he's on your list.
I got to go listen to that then, because that is like one of the ones that I've over the 20 years or so that I've been going to OC Remix. That's just one of the ones that always sticks with me, and I think that's such an emotional arrangement of a already emotional NES song. I think it's one of the most respected NES songs. Yeah.
Fun fact. So I can't remember. I think with the did you ever see that when they did the remade DuckTales cartoon that they used the moon theme?
Yeah, we talked about that in our
Oh, okay.
No, it was great. It was a really good moment. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
I have at number 2 from Link to the Past, Triforce Majeure by
Disco Dan. Yeah, yeah. That's an amazing one too. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Awesome. I remember when I selected it and Trey and Jeremy hadn't heard the song, but they saw it's like 7.5 minutes. It's a long song. It's like, he chose a 7.5 minute song, but we all commented at the end that it just feels so breezy. It does not feel like 7.5 minutes. It feels like, wow, when you're really enjoying something, when you're watching a great movie, you're like, wow, that was 3 hours. It just felt like it just went by real quick. That's what happened with this song. It was just like, it goes by so quick. And I get that impression every time that I listen to it.
Ooh, I will throw out just as a corollary real quick. Another long one. It probably will feel long, but so we used to have a file size limit on OCR back in the day. It was like your track could not be bigger than 6 megs. That was back in the olden days where bandwidth was expensive and stuff like that. Now we don't have any limit on that, but we do have an amazing Link to the Past medley by Carbohydro M, and it's called Unsealed. It is 20 minutes.
Whoa.
Be definitely check that one out. That's
I'll check it out.
Yeah. Unsealed. It's excellent. Unsealed.
My number 1. You mentioned that folks don't like lyrical songs, and I said the same as on our show, that I think that it's like every time I hear something, it's going to be a lyrical mix of a video game song. Like, I don't know, let's see. But when it gets pulled off, when they do it right, it can be amazing, as it was in Punch Out Little Mac's Confession.
My game over.
Yep.
Awesome.
I love that one. That one just gets me going. So that's my number 1.
I mean, nice. we're always open to stuff. Like, we don't have a rule that, when you add lyrics that they have to, do with the game or anything like that. But I'll tell you, the whole thing with Little Mac's Confession and, being able to tell that, the Little Mac story and stuff like that is so fucking cool. And, where you get that sort of meta story, right? Like how he's scared and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to build on kind of, you know, how the simple stories of the game and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool. So yeah, Game Over's sick. They've got a lot of good stuff like Transylvanian Temptation. Like there's a Castlevania one that they have, and you know, like they've got a lot of cool stuff. Yeah,
excellent,
great stuff.
Well, thanks for providing it.
I'd say I have a feeling we could talk to you all day.
Yeah, we could do like a 4-hour podcast, but I have to edit this, so we have to cut it off
no
sooner
worries,
than earlier.
But I would always be glad to come back.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I mean, I was going to say we could tell people where to check you out, but just go to OC Remix, right? They'll be able to find you through there. Are you on other things like Twitter or whatever?
Yeah, go to ocremix.org, and then on all the socials, it's like /OCRemix. So, you know, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, TikTok, like /OCRemix. Come see us there. We're on Discord as well. Like if you want to be a part of the community, again, right? You don't need to be a musician. We got plenty of fans there. Again, I'm not a musician. I'm one of the fans. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if you just want to talk video game music that you like, if you want to nag, you know, various OC remixers like, yo, go make this remix. Like you could do that too. You could try that. Mm-hmm. We would like that too. So, all the websites /OC Remix. Come see us.
Definitely.
Does OC Remix have a presence on Spotify or music streaming anywhere?
Oh, perfect. I'm glad you asked the question. Hell no, because we are averse to making money, as I said.
Yes.
No, so you know what? No, great. So no, great point. No, we would love to be, like, in a perfect world, we would love to be. Because that's in this day and age, right? That's where all the people are. However, all of our fan arrangements are unlicensed, unauthorized, all that good stuff. And so, you know, you would need to pay a whole bunch of licensing money and everything like that. And so we look at ourselves as more like, you remember in the old, like, you know, old video game magazines, people would send in their fan art. We're kind of like that. Or like, you know, you'd see some old comic books and people would send in their fan drawings and stuff like that. We're kind of like that. So we're like in that gray area of like, you know, we're there. And, you know, thankfully, none of the companies or, you know, composers have ever said anything bad about us. Like they love us. You know what I mean? And so we just exist in this gray space. So as much as I wish we were on, you know, Spotify and Pandora and, you know, Amazon and Apple Music and all that, nah. Although what we do need to do is that there are plenty of arrangers who will license their stuff and put it on those services, and they'll submit their stuff to OC Remix. So we should curate a list of stuff that's available on all those sites. So thank you for the idea, because I need to do that. So I will do that.
No problem.
And there's the future of OC Remix right
there. Have you done a podcast yet? Is there an OC Remix podcast? Because there should be.
There should be. And, you know, as I mentioned, I had my show VG Frequency that I did when I was a collegiate, a youngster. You know, now that I'm in my 40s, I don't have the time. I wish I did, but I should do it anyway. So, you know, I don't have the time to do, say, a 4-hour show. And you could tell by how I talk that I could do a 6-hour show. But I should knock out like a 1-hour show. I could probably, maybe, I don't know. There is none right now. There used to be VG DJ and there was the Overclocked podcast. So we have had fans do it, and, you know, y'all could do it. Anybody could do it. I should do it, but there are only so many hours in the day, and I'm busy actually posting the music to
for sure,
to OCR. So maybe one day, but thank you, because we should do that too. And there are a lot of things we should be doing that we're not doing. So I appreciate that question too, because we should do it. So I am the person to ask.
And if you ever want to promote anything, you know, feel free to contact us. Like in future, you know, we'd love to have you back for different things.
Love to have you back.
You're the best guest, though. We don't have to ask you anything. You just,
I've already thought of a bunch more questions.
Go. You've already gone through all of our questions.
I'm ready for
without
the
even
next
asking. So
awesome, awesome. And then on the wrestling side too, or on the comic book side, we will talk. Let's talk too. Any of that. I'm not an expert. I'm not in the industries, but I will always geek out with you guys. So anytime, like, keep the door open.
If you ever want to stop by and play AEW Fight Forever, or just talk to us, we have some people that just come and talk to us on our wrestling stream or whatever. I'll hit you up for that.
Oh, nice.
So.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Consider me invited. I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. All right, cool. Thank you so much, Larry. Nice talking to you. And everybody check out OC Remix if you haven't. We've talked about it a lot on this show, but yeah, definitely. And if you got something cool, send it. And see if Larry likes it or not, you know. Well, and all the other judges, but yeah.
Pass our thanks on to your community for all the great music they've provided over the years.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And well, let's why don't we take a break and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some news and stuff like that.
Hey, you.
It's me, Mario.
Yeah, you. Subscribe to our Patreon to hear our bonus shows, which happen every month.
I'm tired.
Tired of all the big corporate podcasts spoon-feeding you the same old video game news on every single show?
Spaghetti. Ravioli.
Then expand!
With Nintendomain Expansion Pack.
It's us talking about old games that were important to us. It's us interviewing people that we meet at conventions. And heck, it's live shows from those same conventions. It's basically everything you could want that Nintendomain ever made.
Here we go!
And it's just $1 a month.
That's less than a bad indie on the eShop.
It's $12 a year, which is less than Nintendo Switch Online.
Thank you so much for subscribing to our Patreon and supporting Nintendomain.
Just go to patreon.com/Nintendomain podcast and hey, Mario, let go. Whoa! He's throwing us back to the show.
So long, Bowser.
Patreon.com/Nintendomain podcast.
Game over.
We're back from the break. Let's talk about the games that we got and games that we've been playing. I guess I can just... I'll start. I don't have a whole lot to... Well, I guess, no, there's some stuff I want to talk about. The Goemon game, I'm not going to say the entire name of it, which I did last week. I beat the demo. I got all the way through the demo of that Japanese game that's made by the same developers that did the original Goemon and all that. And it's cool. I would love to see it released in English. Please do it. That's all I have to say about that. Ubisoft is still incredibly unhelpful. I don't know if I ever thought they would be, but
nope.
I sent in my complaint to fucking Ubisoft about Prince of Persia and all that. And this is all that I get from them, is just an email like every day or whatever that's like, we're too busy right now. We can't help you. But has your issue actually been resolved? Yes or no? That's basically all I get. Like, there's no like actual answer saying like what I should do or shouldn't do or whatever on this. So I'll always like reopen the case again and be like, all right, you're not helpful. Like, I need to talk to an actual person. None of these have had an actual name on them, like the name of a human. It's all probably some AI shit or whatever. It's always like, this is Ubisoft Snowy, whatever. I'm like, you're not a person. Like, give me a real person. So it's just been stupid. I'm like, I'm tired of responding to them. It just makes me just want to start the game over again and just play through that, because it'll be less annoying than dealing with...
You've been tweeting at them too? Or?
Than dealing with Ubisoft. I tweeted at them when we did our podcast where we talked about the error and all that in the game, like specifically for that podcast episode, but that was the only time. But I don't need to waste my time tweeting at Ubisoft, like, really. Like, I tweeted at like, not tweet. I commented on Laser Time, which, like I said before, Video Game Apocalypse, Michael Raparis works for Ubisoft, blah, blah, blah. I thought that I'd be able to get through to him. And they told me to bug the support, which I did, but I've yet to get like an actual response on anything. It's all just like total bullshit. That's just like, we're too busy. Is your issue resolved? And I'm like, no, it's not resolved. It's fucking broken. Like,
I wonder if they're on Get Human. Have you ever heard of a site called Get Human?
No.
I'm gonna look it up right now. But I use it for customer service help.
Yeah.
Anytime you need to reach a person, not a robot, check out Get Human, and they'll tell you the quickest way to get to a person. They'll tell you the exact chart to go through the press 1 for English, press 2 for blah blah blah. This department. They'll give you the exact key to go straight to a person.
Yeah, I haven't tried calling them. I only like emailed them through the website, but I figured that they would have emailed me back. But yeah, everyone is just like, we're too busy. Is everything okay? And it's like, no, it's still not. No, nothing has been. And you've given me no advice. And I also just want to get it out there, just to be like, hey, this is fucked. Like, put a patch out for it or something. But whatever. I don't know. There's plenty of other games to play, but I would like to play that game because it was really fun until it broke on me. So that always sucks when you have something you really liked and then it just kind of shits on you.
Get Humans says their phone number is 919-460-9778. And they have a whole list of details about how to get through to an actual person.
Drop it on the Slack and I'll try calling them on Friday or something.
Will do.
When I have time. Yeah.
Sadly, I think like if nothing else, they're gonna say they're making a bug report or something. Like
I just want to get it out there. I just want to get the word out there. I'm sure they can't save my save or whatever the fuck, but I want them to at least know about it because I haven't seen anybody report a bug that like egregious or whatever. So I mean, it's it's like, hey, this shit happened, and for what I can tell, it didn't happen to anybody else, but fix it, that sort of thing. What else have I been playing? I've been playing Wavetale. I talked about that. I got it on sale for half off. It's really cool. You surf around on the water. You're basically collecting like these little sprites where you can repower these what do you call them? The big giant things that light up the sea.
Lighthouses?
Lighthouses, yeah. you're like repowering lighthouses that help create more areas for you to surf around on the water. It kind of feels like a mixture between like Sonic and Wind Waker, and it's a really great game to just like kick back and play and not really have to care that much about. I played it. I was in Wisconsin over the weekend. I kind of played that at the hotel, and it was a nice like chill, relax game sort of thing. To make up for my terrible decision in golf last week when I got the hentai golf game, I got this golf game called Golfinite, like infinite but Golfinite. I'd actually heard about it for a while, and it ended up releasing for $1.99, so I didn't pay a cent for it. I used my gold points, and it's just another golf game, but it feels very much like Mario Golf. I guess what's interesting in about it is you basically have to do like these golf challenges before you can actually get to like the specific game. Like if you want to do a tournament, you have to earn enough stars to enter the tournament before you can actually do like a full 18 holes of golf. You have to do all of these like chipping challenges and putting challenges and driving challenges and all that are supposed to like teach you how to golf before you can actually go and do the real golf. And what I did find interesting about it is actually produced by the same people who produced the hentai golf game. So Red Deer, apparently they have 1 million games on Switch. Look up Red Deer sometime. They have so many fucking games. But yeah, I looked at it and I was like, what else do they do? And I was like, oh, well, there's the fucking hentai game that I got last week. There it is right there. So, I mean, that game is trash. This game is actually good. I would not. I
think it's funny. It's called Golfinite, like implying infinite, when golf is a game about low scores.
Sure.
So if it's the idea of the
I think you golf forever, that sort of thing. Yeah.
I'll say if it's the idea like the hentai golf, this one just has infinite holes.
Yeah. Well, the hentai golf is just like, it's just like how many times can you the hentai golf doesn't even really have to do with being good at golf. They just want you to just finish the hole, and then you get to see a high-res picture, which you can tell they put the most effort in that and not the actual game. So yeah, it's terrible.
They probably didn't put any effort. They probably bought the pictures off the internet from somebody.
I was gonna say the pictures looked pretty high res. I mean, it was like, this is where they put the effort in, nothing else. There it is, right there. Yeah, it's stupid. I woke up today. Well, I already knew about it. I think we mentioned it last week that AEW Fight Forever Season 3 had been announced. But we got everything. We got the full breakdown today, which is pretty awesome. I woke up at like 9 a.m. and I had actually had texts from Joe and Shake already about it. But I saw online on Twitter that they fully dropped the first part of Season 3 for AEW Fight Forever, and they've learned some things. AEW Games have learned things, which is great. Last Season 2 was $25. A lot of people were really pissed about that because you only got 3 wrestlers out of it. One of them was just like a single player mode, which I enjoyed playing, the Beat the Elite, and it's only like $6, whatever. Anyway, all right, yeah. So AEW Games, they learned from Season 2, and Season 3 is now $14.99. It's $10 less than what it was, so that's good. It has 3 wrestlers in there. There were actually a couple that we didn't even know about because there were rumors. There were a ton of rumors about Swerve Strickland. Swerve is they're really pushing him. Like I said earlier, he's got a he has like the pay-per-view match against Samoa Joe and Hangman Adam Page coming up in March. So, I mean, they've been pushing him for a while. He's great. I like Swerve a lot. I'm glad he's in the game. We knew that was coming, but they also announced that Claudio Castagnoli is coming out also, which I didn't know about that, but that's going to be a fun one because Claudio has a move where he spins wrestlers around in a circle. That's going to be really fun to do in the game. And these like uppercuts that he does, it's going to be fun to play as him. He's coming March 6th, I believe, is the Claudio DLC, and also Jamie Hayter, who was a big WWE wrestler. She was really popular for a while in AEW. I think she got hurt because we haven't seen her in a while, but she's coming to the DLC as well in April, on April 10th. And interesting thing, they also added 5 new creator wrestlers into the game, and I was like for free, like because there's a free update on the season 3 as well. That's like thanks for being a fan or something like that. You can get it from the eShop for free, and I guess it's supposed to be like extra music and new like clothing attire for a creator wrestler. But you also get 5 creator wrestlers that were made by AEW wrestlers specifically, which I thought was kind of cool because I didn't really know. I was just like, who are these 5 random people that are in here? But while I was playing the game, there's a picture that shows up that's like, oh yeah, here are the people that made these characters. So it's like like Adam Cole made one, Kenny Omega made one, Nyla Rose made one, Britt Baker made one, and Orange Cassidy. So it's like here's the characters that they made. Here's some free creator wrestlers that you can fuck around with, and you can use them in all the modes, but you can't modify them, which I thought was weird. Like that's the only thing you can't change their whatever because there's different skins that you can get through the Beat the Elite mode. You can't use those, so I thought that was strange. But yeah, it's so you get Swerve Strickland, and then you get the creator wrestlers for free. So if either of you got back on AEW, you'd get all those 5 wrestlers that all those AEW wrestlers had made, and all that stuff. And there's also a new level that was added as well. The DLC is called Swerve to the Beach or something like that. And I think if you just get Swerve and the beach level, it's only like $5. And it's basically let's put a wrestling ring on the beach, and you can play it in different times. So there's a daytime one and there's a nighttime one. When I saw that, I was like, what is this, Pilot Wings? This like reminds me of the Birdman levels where you could set like the time of day and when you could fly through it and all that. But I played it. I played the evening version. And it's got like the wind, or not the wind. It's got the water like rippling in the background, like behind the ring. And I was like, I tweeted about it. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is going to mess up the online. It's gotta. But it seems like, I don't know, there's a huge update with it. It took a while to download, so hopefully they fixed some of the stuff. When we streamed this week, we actually had a really good stream where we didn't like reset. Like I think we maybe reset one time. So it's the best we've done online. So hopefully that keeps up and all that. But people are more positive about AEW Fight Forever again and all that, and that's always good to hear when it's like, hey, here it is. And I tried to, I calculated how much money total I've put into AEW. So I bought the original base game for $70 because it was on sale. That was the Elite Edition that came with 6 extra wrestlers. And then I paid for the Season 2, which is $25, so that's $95. And then plus the $15 today, that's $110 total. And that doesn't count like the money that I spent to buy Jeremy a copy of it to support the love for AEW and all that.
Or all the money you've spent on merch and actual events that you've gone to.
Well, that's wrestling. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the video game. Yeah, no, I've spent plenty on t-shirts and hoodies and wrestling tickets or whatever that, but that's a separate thing. So I think
you're approaching John Hitman 3 levels.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I'm still below the John Hitman level or whatever, that sort of thing.
$300, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'd be, as much as I love supporting AEW Fight Forever and playing AEW Fight Forever. When I make it to $300, I hope that I'm satisfied with what I've purchased as far as DLC goes, because as far as they're concerned, this is the game. Tony Khan himself said it. We're keeping this game going for as long as we can, as long as people keep buying the DLC. But it's nice that they did actually make the DLC less, because people were pretty pissed about the price of the DLC of last season. So now they just need to put like season 1 and 2 together and sell it for like $10 or something for all the people who don't have those, like who don't have like the extra characters and all that. They should just kind of combine it, because basically what they've been doing is they're like, here, you can buy the game with everything on it with all the DLC new, but what about the people who bought it just as a base game but didn't get the DLC? They need to, you need to sell the old DLC for cheap is what they should do. But no, it's Yeah, I had a great time playing with Swerve. I did some fun moves, and he's got a lot of really, really cool moves. If you want to see the breakdown of moves, go check out our friend Wagglefest. Shake already put up a video breaking down all the new moves that Swerve has and all that, which is really cool. So you can see that.
I'm glad Shake's putting up videos again.
Yeah, well, yeah, there was. It actually all of it kind of came from because he just did one before that. It was all basically kind of based around the new announcement about season 3. So, the more that the AEW shit happens, it gives us more Wagglefest videos and all that. But because this one was so cheap, because I thought it was going to be like $30, so I was kind of saving money for it. But since it was only $15, I went and I bought the Tomb Raider 1 through 3 collection. So I have that. And I have opinions about it. So I watched a whole bunch of
mixed reviews.
I watched a bunch of reviews about it because there's all sorts of caveats about this game that I want to get into. So I was never really a fan of the original Tomb Raider games on PlayStation because I thought that they controlled awful, and they still do. But I think that since I'm a little bit older, I can do it a little bit better. But I'm a sucker for any sort of good remastered game, and I think that they put a lot of effort into the remastered version of it, and I love that you can switch between the two at any moment. Like all you do is you press pause or you press start, and it goes from the old graphics to the new graphics like that, like in a second, which is really, really cool. You can do it on the fly, which is awesome. Actually, what I found myself doing is kind of in the modern graphics, some things might look a little too dark where you can't really tell what you can see or what you can't see. If you're not sure where you're going to go, hit start and go to the classic mode. In the classic mode, everything is bright, so you can tell where everything is. And if you're kind of stuck, just go back to the old game and you'll figure out where to go. That's kind of what I've been doing.
It's almost like a scope you're putting on.
Kind of, yeah. That's kind of what I do where I'm like, I'm not sure what's back there. Let's switch it to the other one. Oh, we can see what's down that hallway now. That sort of thing. But this is my big gripe with the game, and I'm sure you've heard this on other things. I don't think that the modern control is worth playing at all. Like, it doesn't make any sense because these games, these games were made specifically based around the way the levels are designed. So, like, since it's like a grid-based world, the modern thing is basically like takes away the tank controls. I think you need the tank controls for the game to work. So like if you switch that to where like you run whichever way you press the analog stick, you're just constantly running off of ledges and running into walls, and it just doesn't work. So I play it on the updated graphics with the old scheme, and I play it with the control pad instead of the analog stick because it feels right that way. So I'm doing the fucking tank controls all day on the game, and it feels good from what it is.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, I normally would never use the digital pad for a 3D game. I'm like normally completely against that, but because this game is specifically designed for that originally, I feel like that's the only way to do it and actually make it work. And doing it that way, I've only played it for like an hour today because it just came out, but I was having fun with it. And it's almost like I've seen people compare it to Dark Souls even, to say that like Tomb Raider was the Dark Souls before Dark Souls. Because it's very much like, there's like no story, it's very much all environmental, storytelling. There's lore that you find in the world that they don't really explain, like that sort of thing. And it can be really challenging, but a lot of it is like overcoming the controls, and that is like the benefit of, like you made this long jump that's really hard to do. Like there's this one part where I'm just hitting a switch and a door opens, but it's only open for so long, but I have to figure out to get from the switch to the door before it closes, and that's its challenge in its own way, and it's been pretty fun for that. It also feels incredibly isolating. It almost has like Metroid Prime 1 vibes to it because, like I said, it's very Metroid. It just drops you right into it and tells you nothing. And it's just like, play. There's not even a tutorial. They didn't even tell you how to play at all. Like, if you want to know how to play, you got to go to Laura's house, and then she'll kind of give you a little bit of ideas about how to jump and stuff. But in the actual regular game, they just drop you in it, and they're just like, go, figure it out. And that's it. So it's kind of like, so it takes a little bit to get used to it. But I really like the way the game looks, and I like how you can switch back and forth and all that. We'll see how long I stick with it. But it is like those original Tomb Raider games is like really like a blank spot for me that I tried playing them when high school when I switched when I traded my 64 with a friend for their PlayStation and all that, and I tried Tomb Raider, but I was like, I don't like this game. I don't like the way it controls, But now I think, now that I'm a more mature gamer, maybe I can figure it out better. But it was on sale too. It was like $4 less, not that much. But I wanted to get the sale before it went away. And when I saw that the AEW Fight Forever was cheaper than I thought, I was like, why not? And I've been working fairly often lately, so I was like, yeah, because I was really excited about it. And like I said, I watched a whole bunch of reviews. Everybody was kind of up and down on it. I was like, no, I'm not going to get it. But actually, the one that really sold me on it was the guys who like break down the games and how they run and all that. The Digital Foundry video that they did of Tomb Raider was really what swayed me, and it was kind of cool because I guess the engine of Tomb Raider was leaked out, and Tomb Raider's kind of become like Doom almost, where they've made Tomb Raider on like everything. Like I didn't know that somebody made like a Tomb Raider one for like Mega Drive or like Sega Saturn, or I guess there was one for Sega Saturn, but like for 32X and like stuff like this, and it's where it's kind of like, let's see how many things we can put it on where it wouldn't normally run, which is really interesting from that video.
Wasn't there a Tomb Raider game on the Game Boy Color that was sort of
probably
3D-ish?
You might be thinking of the Resident Evil.
I thought they did a Tomb Raider one too.
I'm guessing there probably was one. I don't know how 3D it was, but I bet you there was probably a Tomb Raider on Game Boy in some fashion. Maybe it was 2D. But no, yeah, it's if you switch between the old style and the new style, there is a lot of really impressive stuff that they've done. Like I was in a room where there's like skulls like in the wall, and the skulls are like all polygonal and they're all coming out of the wall. You switch it back to the old graphics, and this is just like it's just flat. It's just a flat texture that you just put on the wall, and they actually made these skulls be like real skulls and pop out of the wall and all that. So they do some really cool stuff like that. Yeah, they basically take a lot of flat sprites and make them into fully 3D items and that sort of thing. So that was kind of the big one for me also. And just for the fun of it, well, not for the fun of it, I was on a podcast last night about Final Fantasy VI. I got to be on a podcast called Gamer Looks at 40. He's friends with Mike from Games My Mom Found. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy VI, of course. So I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VI to like prep myself for the podcast and all that. So I got back into it. I'd only put maybe 2 hours into the Pixel Remaster, and I put 4 more hours into it or something like that. And yeah, Final Fantasy VI is still a great game. In case anyone forgot.
So do you have stuff are you using the quality of life upgrades, like increased XP and faster speed and all that?
No, I'm not using the increased EXP. I'm playing it regular. But I know in this one there's some stuff that's added there regardless. Like you can press B to run whenever you want. You don't necessarily need the sprint shoes, or you can equip the sprint shoes and then press B and you can run even faster. I'm using stuff like that, but it's kind of interesting because that they've changed things. I got to where you meet Cyan, and now his sword text, you don't wait for the line, you can automatically pick them, which I think is kind of weird if you're used to what it normally is. And they all
have different names.
Yeah, and all of Saban's moves are all different now. I talked about this last night. The suplex is called the meteor strike now instead of the suplex, and the Aura Bolt is a different thing. Everything is completely named differently. Or Banon's health move is now Prey or whatever. So you have to kind of put it all together in your mind and all that. But yeah, it looks great.
I got to. Because I've been sort of playing that every couple of weeks. I'll play it for a bit, and I'm up to the opera part.
Well, yeah, you're way as far than I am. So you're in the ruined world, right? Isn't an opera part?
No. It's before. It's where you're about to get the airship for the first time.
Oh, okay.
In the normal world.
I'm at the part where everybody's joined up. I did all so I'm not that far. Everybody splits apart and then you play all the different stories and then they all come back together. That's right where I am. Right.
Not much further than that.
Right when you're about to do the Narsh thing where you split everybody up and you that sort of thing. So that's where I'm at. But it's still a great game to play. You can just throw it on and just jump right into that shit.
Yeah, every time I get kind of bored with stuff on the Switch, I'll remember that's on there, and I'll play that for an hour or something, and just be with these quality of life improvements, this game's a lot more fun. Just because it's not about the game not being fun originally, it's just thinking about going back to that old way of playing an RPG just doesn't sound enticing. But
yeah, but six still shines so much though. It's really
oh, it does. It's just all those random encounters. And stuff it's not as fun. especially in the dungeons where you have to like split up and stuff.
Oh, sure. I didn't feel, you know what, the random encounters didn't feel that like cumbersome, like even playing it this week. Like I still feel like it, I don't know, it doesn't feel archaic at all. I still think it kind of feels, I mean, because, well, I guess I had played Octopath Traveler 2, and that has random encounters in it too, you know, so it's kind of like, I'm sort of used to it. But you can completely turn them off if you need to, you know, if you need to just, in the
By the way, if we ever
Remastered,
do an Octopath 2 podcast, I actually have a friend who is at the mega boss who's gotten to that point.
Yeah, I'm not that far. I was like maybe like 15 hours. But yeah, that was kind of that was last year's news. But yeah, that's I have another thing I can talk about, but I'll talk about it when you talk about another thing about yours. But either of you, do you want to go? Which one? I know John. I don't know. Whoever wants to go next. I've said enough.
John, you go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot. So I've been just knee deep back in Hitman again this week. Hitman World of Assassination, that is. What I've been doing is I actually discovered that I don't know how I missed this all this time, but there is a way, speaking of polygons, to earn a Hitman 1 PlayStation polygon skin. And I didn't know all this time. I 600 hours playing this game, and I just didn't know it. I missed it somehow. And there's like mini campaigns in the game where it's not part of the main storyline or whatever, but if you want to like complete these series of challenges, then you get a reward for doing so. And yeah, guess that one of them was called Codename 47, and that was the reward. But it was kind of a longer mini mission. Like there was it's a series of 5 things that you have to do throughout different levels. Like one of them was, I'm trying to remember them now. One of them was like kill 5 of these enemies in this level, all with explosions. And it's very specific like that. Like you have to do these hits or these particular tasks in an exact way. And when you get it, then you get a little check mark, and now you've done item, 3 out of 5 or whatever to get to the reward. And what inevitably happened, now you could I suppose you could just burn through these if you wanted to go real fast and just to check them off. And I guess you could probably get it done in 2 hours if you were speeding through it, whatever. But just inevitably with this game, I get drawn in, and I can't just go do the thing. I have to complete the whole mission. That's just my compulsiveness. So I have to complete it then, and as best way as I can, in addition to doing the task at hand. So I ended up playing probably another, I'd say probably 8 hours or so, trying to do this series of missions. The last one was really cool. The last one, they have you go through the final level, and the task that you have to do is you have to kill every person in the level. That's something you can do. Like in any level, you can go through and just try and kill as many people as possible, 180 people, whatever. But the special thing about that task is that the final mission, and it's the final mission of the game. You're replaying the final mission of the game. In the final mission, you have, after 3 games, finally tracked down the top brass of this agency who created you and who you are now rebelling against and exposing all that. And so you have to go take out basically that every person in this level is part of this evil organization. And so it's you want to take them, you can take them all out, and it's not like you're taking out innocents. You're taking out these are all bad people, and you don't get, the other difference with that level is that you don't get nicked for taking out innocent people. You actually get bonuses. So it's just have at it. It's a cathartic, revenge experience or whatever. And I think that bringing it all back to the classic Hitman PlayStation 1 style, it was just, it felt satisfying to get to the end and earn the classic Hitman skin through that means. And it was just fun. It was a fun level, and it was a fun challenge, all told. So it was cool, worth it.
I looked at your you posted the video on the Slack of the PlayStation Hitman, and I was hoping he would look blockier. I was hoping he would look like the Lara Croft, pointiness or whatever. But I'm sure when I mean, was there a Hitman game on PS1? Was that when it originated? The very first one. Yeah, that was
the original one.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't have a. He's bald. He's a little bit more rounded or something. But it didn't seem as like PlayStation pixely, I guess.
Yeah, it could have been more like.
It's more about the skin. Yeah.
Yeah.
It needed the. I mean, it looks fine. I think you're right. It looks like high. It looks like a modern retelling or version of the old look. Mm-hmm. But I think what's missing is the shifting PlayStation textures.
Yeah.
Like, when the camera angles would change on a PlayStation, and then like the textures would change and be like become unhooked a little bit.
They would change not even with the camera angles, and you kind of deal with that a little bit sometimes in Tomb Raider, where like because I did the Laura when you go to like Laura's house or whatever, and yeah, sometimes the camera just changes, and then the way you're running changes, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like I can't tell where I'm at or whatever. But yeah, the original PlayStation one, I remember that the textures on the walls, they just couldn't hold it or whatever, so it was always kind of like throbbing or whatever, like it would never like stay exactly the same, whether the camera changed or not, just like because it was so hard for them to run 3D things at that time. I remember IGN did like a top 5 signs that you've played PlayStation too much, and that was one of them. If you stand next to a wall, everything moves, like you can't actually see it right. That was their joke. They did this whole thing about like they did like top 5 like reasons that you played 64 too long. One of them was you like to have your food delayed 5 or 6 times before you actually get it, like that sort of thing, as it was a joke about the Zelda games and whatnot. But I remember that one about the walls shifting when you stand next to them, because I was like, yeah, that's how it was, and definitely in those old Tomb Raider games, which it doesn't do that, but the frame rate does change, which is kind of a little like, because it has like a really smooth 60 frames per second in the modern graphics, but when you switch it to the old one, it switches back to 30 because that's what that was on, and it feels a little jarring to like go between those. I guess it doesn't bother me as much, but I've seen some people complain about that online, that sort of thing. But it does make me want to play Metal Gear Solid 1, the PlayStation 1 version, because I never have, and they just need to. The Metal Gear Solid collection was on sale, but it wasn't on sale enough. It needs to go down farther, and I'll get it eventually. It was only like 47 or something like that. I need to be lower than that. But yeah, it's kind of funny that you got like the new whatever the new release of the old Hitman, and that just brought you back to the new Hitman.
That's all I did. Is just I'm sure it's a good game and everything, but man, the pull of the modern series was just so strong. It's like I still have so much left to do, even though I did that. I guess that's the other news. Across 600 hours in Hitman this week. Now my number 2 most played Switch game.
Is it below Mario. Like Animal Crossing? Or no, Mario Maker 2.
Mario Maker
2 sitting pretty at near 1,100 hours.
Yeah, I forgot about Mario Maker 2. Because my most played game is Animal Crossing with 500 hours, which Jess actually has over 1,000 in Animal Crossing. So yeah, and my number 2 is still Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And I'm trying to keep it like that. Yeah.
Well, this week I mostly played PlayStation stuff because there hasn't been as much going on, especially first party with Nintendo. Like, we've just been kind of hanging around waiting for some sort of announcement. But they've kind of
we got 2 first party stuffs coming out in this week and next week, which we'll talk about later. But yeah.
But in the meantime, I mentioned it last week. I had downloaded the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo, which is like coming out, I think, next month.
This month.
Oh, yeah, it's the 29th.
29th.
It's on the 29th.
Leap year. Yeah, so it'll never have an anniversary. Well, it won't have one for, next 4 years.
4 years. But I really liked it, and I found myself like wanting to play it all the way through, which I did, and I was disappointed when it was done because I was having fun with it. And it kind of takes place right after you leave Midgar.
Yeah, it takes place after Remake. It takes place after the remake game. Yeah, if you played that one, it's after.
But the first half of it is like an interactive cutscene almost, because it's all about, well, basically the whole thing's an interactive cutscene actually, because it's bringing you up to speed with why Sephiroth's a bad boy, and so he's like, you actually get to control him and like fight with him and stuff, which is interesting because He's less OP than you would expect, but he is still pretty OP. So he actually got knocked out a couple times as I was learning how to play. So I was playing on like whatever the average difficulty is. So, I wanted a bit of a challenge, but I wasn't trying to like make it too hard. But I also didn't want to just do whatever the low challenge was, because I wanted to actually kind of experience what the game is to see if I liked it or not. And I liked it. It kind of plays in pseudo real time.
It's kind of like Ys a little bit, or at least what Remake was. Remake kind of reminded me of Ys, but it has a little bit of somewhat where you can tell one person to do a magic thing in the background.
You got like an active time gauge, or the battle gauge that we're kind of used to in all the Final Fantasy games since 6, and that determines when you can actually do stuff. But in the meantime, you can move around and reposition yourself, and also kind of avoid some attacks. You can't avoid all attacks. Like some stuff's just going to hit you unless you know how to buff yourself right, which I don't know how to do yet. But when you cast a spell, it kind of like goes into bullet time as you're like selecting the spell. So it's still kind of real time, but it's giving you a moment to like go through your menu or whatever. So I had a good time with it. I was like pulling off limit breaks and stuff at the end, and like you get like these like duo techniques with Sephiroth, which are just completely insane. But every single battle is like an event. Like it's just really cinematic, and it's all about like finding the weak points and then exploiting them. And it's not like Monster Hunter, because that's truly like real time, but it still kind of reminded me a bit of Monster Hunter, because you're always kind of trying to find the weak spot to get the animations to happen in the right way to where you can move to the next phase of the battle. But yeah, I had a really good time with it. And the demo basically ends with Sephiroth going bad, and a big tragedy happening back in Cloud's hometown. So I think that's actually from the original game. It was just more delivered as a cutscene. But you got to play it this time.
It's kind of from what I heard it described on podcasts, it kind of reminds me of if you ever played like what's it called, Mass Effect 2 on PlayStation, because Mass Effect 1 was never there. There was like this interactive comic that like would happen at the beginning, just so you could choose make the same choices, so they would affect you in the different game. It's probably not like that, but it reminds me of that, like where it kind of like bringing you up to speed of what happened before, but kind of like letting you somewhat play it, right? That's what you're saying.
I guess so, yeah. It's interesting because like you're in the town and you can go anywhere you want. You basically like walk into the town, and Sephiroth's like your boss or whatever. He's like, well, it seems like you got some catching up to do. Just go around and talk to people. And so you can kind of just explore the town, talk to everyone. And it takes place in the before times. So like you go to Tifa's house and she's not there. And her parents are like, oh, I bet, you're going to get up into trouble as a soldier. And everybody's just kind of lighthearted about it.
Yeah, because their soldier group or whatever it was called. It's like back when they were chums or whatever. So
then you and Sephiroth have to go to the whatever the materia or whatever the hell they call it this game, the factory you got to go to, and I don't think it's called materia, whatever it's called, but you're going to that spot, and all of a sudden like Tifa shows up wearing a safari outfit or whatever. And she's like, I'm going to be the one to escort you to the spot. And then all of a sudden, Tifa's in your party. So I think they added that as fan service. I don't think that was in the original version. But yeah, Tifa's just like, oh yeah, I was there. I remember all these things happening because I was there too. I just happened to be the trail guide for them for some reason.
They're doing like what Larry was saying. Like it's like OC Remix pretty much, right? They're taking They're basically taking Final Fantasy VII and arranging it in a different way for this one.
I guess so.
So characters are... I'm really curious to see, because I bet you anything that Aerith doesn't die. That she does not die in Rebirth. That she will live forever and never die, and somebody else will die. I bet you anything.
I have a feeling it's a choice, maybe.
Maybe.
Like there might be some sort of way you can save her, but I don't know how much the game really has to do with that. But yeah, after playing through the demo, which probably took about 2 hours, maybe not quite, and I'm not great at these games, so most people could probably get through it quicker. But I actually downloaded the original Final Fantasy VII remake, which is why I said it was not a Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, yeah.
Because it keeps going. And I downloaded that. I haven't played it yet. I've only ever played the demo, but it is on my PlayStation, and it was free because
it was PS Plus. It was free with the second version of PS Plus, basically the one that's like kind of equivalent to Game Pass is what people compare it to. Because I'm on the basic level where you don't get that. It actually was on sale. Like the Final Fantasy VII Remake was on sale for $15, and for a second I thought about getting it just to try it, and I'm like, what do you? I'm like, you don't even like Final Fantasy VII. Why are you even thinking about this? So I didn't get it because I'm like, I didn't get. But I played the demo on PS4 and I thought it was okay, but I was just like, I don't have the time to play through this game, and also I don't really.
I definitely
care
don't
about
plan on finishing it, but I am going to play it, and I also don't plan on getting
Rebirth.
I don't plan on getting the Rebirth right away, but I am looking forward to what people think of it, and if it hypes me up more, maybe I will get it. But it was fun, I think it's a nice little demo. If anybody that's PS5 should download it and play it for free.
I would.
It's good.
I don't have a PS5, but I mean, now I got to wait for the PS6, right? Because the PlayStation's already kind of carting off the PS5. That's what it seems like. They're like, oh yeah, we're done. We're done with this.
It's like the PlayStation 5 is near the end of its life. So
it barely even was. It was barely even alive. Like it just became available to people. I feel like this year or last year. I mean, pretty much like last year, it finally became available.
It's been out for almost 4 years.
And didn't it drop in 20? Didn't it drop in 2020 or something like that? Like in the middle of the bullshit and all that.
Yeah, it's been out almost 4 years, or right around. Because I think it might have been like the spring of the summer.
But it was like mostly made available, a year or two ago, maybe?
I would say it's about a year ago is when it became like you could actually just buy it online when you wanted to. So I've had mine for close to a year now.
People could finally actually find it like last year. So it's kind of weird for them to be like, we're already moving on.
I think I want to say I got mine like last March or April.
It was something
so
like
I've
that.
almost had it for a year. And I love it. I love it. I play it every day.
You do, yeah. Well, because you got that one game that you need to finish soon enough.
There's a lot of really big games on it. But one game I tried this week just to like play something a little different, also just free to download for me, was the Soul Calibur 6. And I haven't played Soul Calibur in a long time. And, I'm not a big fighting game person, but I always loved the Soul Calibur games. Like, they just have... Yeah. I like that... One of the big thing I really liked about them was that you could like keep hitting people after they land on the ground, which I think other games do eventually, but you could like extend your combos to after they land on the ground. You can just keep smacking them, Like, I love that.
Even as the guy is saying you win or whatever, you just keep smacking
Oh,
them.
sure.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, you can, but...
Just hit with that bow staff, just keep smacking the guy.
Yeah, it's got like a creative fighter in it, so I did that. And so technically I did beat a game this week because I played through the story mode with the creative fighter, whatever the normal difficulty was. It was pretty easy to get through, maybe 20 or 30 minutes, but I played through, the tower or whatever of bad guys and then got my credits. But I do like it. It's fun. And you get to like earn points to buy costumes and different weapons, because you can equipping weapons as part of this game, which is pretty cool because it changes your fighting style. And just a really fun fighting game. It looks gorgeous still. I think it came out like 2018, this particular one, but it looks good, and it has Geralt in it, which surprised me when I fought Geralt.
Oh yeah, I was wondering who the extra people were.
And then all of a sudden I'm fighting Geralt. I'm like, oh shit, he has 2 swords. I better watch out.
I saw that you were playing it on PlayStation, and I was like, Soul Calibur 6. I was like, which was the last one that I played? And I was like, I thought maybe that was the same one, but no, I played Soul Calibur 4 on PlayStation 3, and that was the one that had Yoda and Darth Vader on it, when it had like the Star Wars characters in it, and I think it had the dude from Force Unleashed in there too, probably, or something like that. Yeah, it had like the Xbox One had Yoda in it because of the green lightsaber, and the PlayStation One had Darth Vader in it because of the red lightsaber. But by the time that I bought it, they were available on both versions or whatever. So I was trying to remember when I played it
Soul
last.
Calibur 2.
That was on GameCube.
Was it 2 or 3 on the GameCube that had Link in it?
It was 2.
Spawn was in it, like the Xbox version.
Xbox.
Spawn was on Xbox, but there was a character called Necrid, which was made by Todd McFarlane, which basically looked like Spawn without a cape. So we pretty much had Spawn on the GameCube version also.
Yeah.
And on the PlayStation one, it had Heihachi in there, who like is already, which is weird because
some Tekken, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say because I've been playing Tekken Tag Tournament 2 on Wii U. Just because I've heard all this talk about Tekken 8, and I really want to play it, but I don't have a PS5, so I can't play it. So I'm like, what Tekken games do I have? And I'm like, wait, I got Tekken Tag 2 on Wii U, so I've been playing it. I've actually been playing it on the controller. I haven't played it on a TV yet. I've only played it on the controller, and I've just been running through the arcade mode. So you could say I beat a game too. But no, I've just been just fucking around with it. I mostly play as King. King was always my favorite character because if you played Tekken, King is a wrestler. Like all of his moves are fucking wrestling moves. So he has.
Looks like a leopard, right?
Yeah, he's got like a. Well, actually, there's like two different Kings in Tekken Tag 2. There's Armored King and regular King. But yeah, he has like this whatever animal head. And you basically do a bunch of different holds and suplexes and stuff like that. So he was always my favorite. So I've just been doing like King and what other random character and just trying to like figure out some of the combos and stuff because I really like the new Tekken 8 stuff sounds great. Like with the whole like arcade quests and all that shit. Like that would be the main thing. I was like, if I ever bought a PS5, I would buy it for fighting games, not for whatever else.
I say you might check. You might be able to get Soul Calibur. I don't know if it's in your tier, but you might check because
I'm the low tier. I'm whatever the basic level is. But you can still get there's like a Tony Hawk-ish game with guns that I just downloaded that's supposed to be fun. I don't know what it's called. Rollerball or whatever the fuck it's called. Something with roller in it.
Yeah.
Also, Tales of Arise is coming out on the 20th for the lowest level, and I really wanted to play that because we were Tales fans. Tales of Symphonia. Vesperia was good on Switch also, so I heard a lot about Arise, so I'll definitely try that out whenever that gets on there.
But yeah, otherwise, I tried Dead Space. It's not for me. I don't know. It's just like Resident Evil 4 all over again. I'm too scared to play it.
It's so good though. Well, I haven't played the remake, but the first one. Much. Actually, I was looking for like I said, I was trying to find Tekken games. I've been playing Tag Tournament too, but I found that I had Tekken 6 also on PS3. But I still have Dead Space 1 and 2 on PS3, and I was like, fuck the remake. I can just play that first one again. Because, I love that first one. I played through it twice. I played it on 360, and then I bought it on PS3 and bought it again. And played it again. Because I liked it so much. But yeah, it is creepy, but it's great.
I'll give it some more testing, but I hate jump scares. And yeah, that's just kind of how that game's made. And you're fumbling to, like, use your laser right. And because you have to cut the limbs off, you have to, like, rotate your laser. And
yeah.
That just gets a little bit, like, it gets a little, like, fumbly for me, and I get frustrated.
Can you gyro aim? Can you like tilt?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not that
I was saying that would help. It would help you if it was there.
I'll check it out. Maybe it's in the deep in the control menu, but I couldn't find any gyro stuff in there. Needless to say, I mean, it looks great. It's just damn. And then lastly, of course, Baldur's Gate 3. I don't have to talk about it too much, other than I think I'm basically at the end of the game. I've gotten to the spot where you go somewhere and they're like, this is where I'm not going to ruin it, but this is where the main boss is because of all these creatures that symbolize that it's going to be here. Like all these little tiny creatures that like show that it's going to be there, whatever. And then I tried to go further. They're like, you can't go yet. You don't have the 2 crystals. And so I'm working on getting one of those 2. So I think after I get the other one, then I can go beat the game. So who knows? Like I'm actually on the boss to get one of the 2, and in the meantime, like 2 of my characters now have just ascended to like crazy evil people that a bunch of people had to die for them to like become this like super powerful being, and then the other 2 people in my party are like part mind flayer now because I've like allowed myself to be genetically altered. So long gone are my days of trying to play this game in a good way. In fact, I've killed so many good people that I've been completing quests, and then it'll just be like, all right, well, you killed that guy, but you can't collect your reward because the person's dead because you killed them. So like all these quests just started like dropping off of my like side quests, and now I only have like three left. So, I'm sure if I went around and talked to people, I might find some more, but yeah, it definitely feels like I'm approaching the end game. So we'll see if I finish by next week or not. I doubt it, but I think within the next couple of weeks, I could put a pin in this game for a while.
I hope so.
And I'm actually looking forward to that because I want to play other stuff.
Well, you said
it's so hard to focus.
I mean, last week you were having Baldur's Gate 3 fatigue, so I didn't mention it on my game. Whenever I edit a podcast, I play stuff while I'm listening to it, and it always will always be stuck in my mind forever. I was listening to you talking about Baldur's Gate 3 fatigue while I was killing people in Quake 2, so I always have those 2 together, but. Yeah.
Well,
you should play other games.
I was getting fatigued, but I went around to each of the like spots in the map. I just tried to unlock the whole map. So I did a lot of grunt work this week to where I feel like it's I'm not fatigued anymore. I'm not fatigued, but I definitely just have some really grueling battles I have to fight, and then I'll be done. But at least I know what I have to do now. So that's where I'm at in that game. But you know what? I still love it. It's a great game.
Is that enough? That's good for your stuff? I just want to real quickly just rattle through a couple news things. I don't know if it was when it was in between or whatever.
News. Don't snooze or you miss the news.
The big thing for me is Ease 10 has official kind of a release date. They said the fall. It doesn't have an actual date, but we did get a new trailer for Ease 10, which I played the Ease 10 demo, the Japanese demo. So I'm like, cool, it's coming out this year. Excellent. And the trailer looks great. What I'm wondering, and I haven't checked yet, I'm wondering if they're going to drop like the English translation on the Japanese eShop before it gets officially released in America. Because if that's the case, I'm going to fucking just flat out just buy it from the Japanese eShop early and just play it that way, because that would be great, So
you played through 9, right?
Not completely, but I'm going to try to before 10 comes out. But 10 looks really good. I'm really excited about 10. So, and Ease 1 is actually coming out. Will be out by the time this show posts. And with all the games that I got, because I got the DLC, I got the AEW DLC, I got a Tomb Raider, and I also preloaded Mario vs. Donkey Kong. So I have enough gold points to get Ease 1 for free. That was actually my plan. I was like, well, I'll get these games, and then I won't have to pay for Ease. Well, Ease 1 is like $5. Like, it's not expensive. But I have enough gold points for that, so I'm going to get that for free once it's available. And I'm excited to play Mario vs. DK. I really liked it on Game Boy, so we'll talk more about that next week, I'm sure. But as I said as my middle name, we're very directionless still. Because we have no direct. There's still no direct, and at this point, I feel like there's just not going to be one. It's just not going to happen. We're going to see. There's going to be like
no February direct.
March. I think it might be next Thursday.
That's every week. I hear that every week, right? Where it's like, I have a good feeling about next week. It's that I don't know. Like, since it hasn't happened this week and it didn't happen last week, and I don't think it's going to happen next week. I think it's not happening in February. That's my prediction right here. No one will ever quote me on Twitter or whatever, but they should. And say that I said that's not going to happen this week.
I'm going to say next Thursday. I'm going to stick to that for this week.
Well, that would just make that would just make my life my life even more annoying because of all the stuff I'll be doing plus trying to record this. But it's like I just don't think it's happening in February. That's my prediction. Maybe they're going to push it off, because the reason I think this is because today we got a bunch of trailers that could have been in a direct easily. Number one, the Ease 10 announcement, which was on the Nintendo YouTube, that could have been in a direct. I mean, the AEW season stuff could have been in a direct. They released a new Princess Peach trailer that showed like new suits that we hadn't seen before. That would have been in a direct. There was this like fucking 10-minute trailer about the new the side story stuff for Splatoon 3. I don't know if either of you saw it, but I'm more intrigued by it because it's just breaking down how it is basically roguelike, but like how it works, where like you'll earn certain things as you're going, but you get to keep some, it very much reminds me of like Hades and those sort of games. But I'm like more pumped on it now from watching this. They did like a full, like almost 10-minute trailer about it, just breaking it all down. So it's like this all could have been in direct, but it's not. So, so maybe we're just not going to get one.
The problem with that line of thinking is it's not thinking like a psycho Nintendo fan who would say that, that means there's going to be gigantic news because they're clearing the table because we're going to get the full direct reveal of the Switch 2 at the end of the month. It'll come this month. So that you've heard it here first from me. That's what's going to happen. We're going to get the full Nintendo Switch 2 direct by the end of the month because they've cleared the table.
Oh, I don't think this month because we still got to get through March because Princess Peach is coming out at the end of March. I don't think they want to. I think they still want to get through the stuff. And don't forget that we still have the Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door remake that isn't out yet. So I don't. I feel if they do the Switch 2 too early, then it's gonna just degrade. People are gonna forget about these other games that are still coming to Switch. So that's what I think. We're not gonna see it yet. And, whenever I think that I know a thing, Nintendo will always do something different. We should have all known that when I was like, all right, February Direct will be this day, and it didn't happen. It's because Nintendo is always trying to do different things. So maybe they will do a Switch 2 thing. But if I was putting money on it, I would say no. I would say later than March. I would say April or later. That's what I would say.
Yeah, no, I'm being facetious. I think probably it'll be sometime later in the spring, summer, June. I think I said June before. I think that's about right. I mean, there's a bunch of Switch 2 rumors that are out this week.
Around the dead E3 time. I think I said that before. Like, yeah, July, like you were saying, when E3 used to exist, around that time. Because they've always had even in 2020, when, E3 died the first time, they still had a direct around that time. So I still think we'll see something. But yeah, Switch rumors. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some welcome rumors would be like the one that says the Switch 2 is going to support physical and digital backward compatibility. That's great. I think we've been saying it, and a lot of folks have been saying, I just want day one all of my games to be playable on the new system.
Well, yeah, and if you look back, Nintendo has done that many a times. Like the Game Boy to the Game Boy Color to the Game Boy Advance, like all use the same cartridges, or like the Wii to the Wii U, or the GameCube to the Wii, like all had backwards compatibility. So I thought that they would continue that cycle, like through those sort of things.
That's cool that they've extended that to digital as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not going to have to like restart your Nintendo account. Like, and I've heard even Doug Bowser has said about like wanting to continue. It's like if you get your Switch stolen, you still get all your games back because it's tied to your Nintendo account. I think they want to keep your Nintendo account going through. And they had a similar thing even between like Wii and Wii U, where in the Virtual Console, if it was released on Wii U and you already owned it, you could buy it again for like 50 cents or something like that. But that was the beginning of that. It should just carry over from one to the other. But I think I heard on a podcast, maybe it was NBC, that they're saying that like the Nintendo physical sales were higher than any of the other consoles. So that makes sense that they would keep it in Switch 2. Like instead of just being a digital only system, because people actually do still buy. I mean, John does, like the physical copies of the Nintendo specific first party stuff. They said that they have the highest sales of physical games right now. So it would make sense for them to not take it away.
We like to assume everybody has broadband internet access. That's not the case. There's folks who still just like to get physical games because for them to download a game would be impossible or would take forever. And there's also the whole thing of seeing something at the store. Ooh, I want that. That would be gone if it was all digital. You wouldn't go to a Walmart and see a game on the shelf and do an impulse buy or whatever. Like impulse buying is a big thing. You see a game on sale, $20 at the store. Yeah, throw that in the basket. So I think physical is not going away entirely for a while. I think Nintendo will be making physical games at least for the generation beyond this one.
Yeah, at least through Switch 2 or whatever they call it.
3,
Super Switch. Yeah. I mean, they were the ones who who kept the cartridges going to their own detriment, but then they brought them back again on the Switch, and it was cool now. Like the cartridges for like 64, where that was a problem because versus the CD market. But so then they went CD, but then they brought the cartridges back for Switch, and now it's like, hey, Well, I guess they never really went away for handheld gaming and all that, but Nintendo was. I don't feel they're one that's going to turn from physical anytime soon. A leaker who I don't know and probably isn't worth mentioning, but what I like about it is they're saying that Sega will give a lot of support to Switch 2, and I believe that. A lot of people wondered why Persona 3 Reload was not going to be a Switch game, even though the other Persona games had already been on there and had been big sellers. I originally thought that it was because they were saving it till Switch 2, to the next system. Now all they need is, now that the guy who said that Switch was a baby system from the Yakuza company, now that he's gone, let's put some fucking Yakuza games on Switch. Like, seriously. 0 through 7, or like 0 through 8 or whatever, like as a collect, that would be huge. Or even like, even like one, even like, 0 through 5 or PS3 games that could easily run on Switch. Like I feel like they're just, I've said it before, I'm sure, but they're just leaving money on the table here. You're just like, I don't want to make money. So many people who have not played Yakuza games, people that should, like John.
Yeah. Like me.
You would love
they
it.
They can start with Shenmue if they want to ease into it.
Sure, yeah. Don't forget about those two.
First.
Yeah. Those two, yeah. But the Yakuza, every time I play it, I was like, man, I wish you could play these. They do. They have a. They're basically like, what if a beat 'em up was kind of like an RPG sort of, and you could build up your stuff. But what's so perfect about those Yakuza games, as I said before, is they can be like serious and they can be funny like at the drop of a hat. They can go from like one to another, and that's continued on through 8 games now. Without the spin-offs or whatever. So put that shit on Switch. See, what else do we have here?
I think you'd be interested in this one. Lost F-Zero games were recreated by fans and are now playable. Did you read this article? This is fascinating.
I think I saw it, and when I saw it didn't have to do with F-Zero 99, I just didn't read it. But
so what this is, it's the Saddle of You games.
Yeah.
For those who are not familiar, in Japan, there was a unit you could buy for the Super Famicom called the Saddle of You, and it was essentially you download games and then they'd be on your system momentarily, and you turn the system off and they'd go away. It was like live games, almost like the Sega Channel or something like that. So these games only existed on the Saddle of You, which means they disappeared or lost to time, right? Unless they have them on copies still at Nintendo headquarters somewhere, these games are not available to the public anymore. But some fans were able to recreate the games, and how they did it was just interesting because they did it based off of YouTube footage. They would review the YouTube footage of these games that was uploaded to YouTube in 2018. So thankfully somebody uploaded the images. And then they used a piece of software, a tool called Graphite. I'm going to read the portion of the article now. So there's a tool called Graphite from YouTuber Flibbity Dibbity that essentially looks at footage of a game. It had looked at Super Mario Brothers, right? Recreated Super Mario Brothers this way. So it looks at Super Mario Brothers being played, and it's able to determine the exact position on the screen of Mario, as well as the exact frame perfect button inputs being done at any given moment. So using the principles of Graphite, a guy going by Guy Perfect was able to create a similar tool for F-Zero that was then applied to the uploaded recordings of the game on YouTube. So he was able to recreate it basically using this tool and footage from YouTube. I thought that was fascinating.
This kind of, I'm just listening to you talk about this, how they say like how they needed to find it on a certain YouTube video. Now, way back in the day, in the late 90s, when I was in college, and we would download, emulators and ROMs and stuff like that. I actually played these games on an emulator when I was in college, like the BS F-Zero games. So they did already exist when they weren't on YouTube. So I don't know. Where did those go? I don't know. Like, I had them. I've played these. I just watched a video of them. I'm like, oh, yeah, I played these already when we were at LCC, when Jeremy and I were there. I played these, like, as ROMs that existed. Because I remember because there was the Super Nintendo one, and I played the first one, but there were sequels that were this basically, were basically the BS ones that people had as ROMs. I'm just wondering where those disappeared to and why people needed to find different ways to find them. Because I 100% played these. Like 25 years ago, maybe they just disappeared or whatever. Maybe Nintendo pulled them off and you can't get them anymore. But I just watched the YouTube video of it where they pulled it from, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I played this. I totally played this on an emulator.
Maybe they're not as lost as these folks thought.
But yeah, aside from that,
the last one that I think is worth mentioning is that IGN has announced IGN Live, which is an in-person fan event in LA in June. So IGN is doing E3.
Yeah, they're like, there's no E3, so let's create our own E3. I mean, that makes sense. They got the power to do that.
I think it's cool. I still believe that there is a need for an in-person, industry-wide gaming convention that's more focused on, that is also focused on business, not just, say, like PAX or whatever, fan events. Well, this is called IGN. It's an in-person fan event. I'm going to assume that there's going to be enough industry professionals there and stuff. They said that it's going to be industry they're gathering and all that stuff. I think that there's going to be some business aspect to it. And I think this is like IGN's foot in the door to trying to like do their own E3 and do it in a way that they've probably had ideas on how E3 could have been done better. They've been going to E3 since pretty much the inception of IGN, 25 years or whatever. I'm sure they have thoughts, and I'm sure they just said, you know what, we got the contacts and we have some ideas on how to do it, and we think this is worthwhile, and let's just do it. So I think it's cool. I think they're going to be successful at it.
They've been to enough E3s that they can create their own, right? I mean, yeah, they've been there for years. I like that. I mean, whatever, go for it. So yeah, I think that's good. We had that's good extra long episode here, so hope everybody enjoyed it. And if you're not completely tired after this 3-hour whatever episode, go to patreon.com/Nintendomain podcast. You can listen to that OC ReMix episode that we were talking about earlier with Larry, and listen to John gave your top 5, but we didn't give our top 5, so you can listen to our top 5s on that episode. Plus, there'll be a WART radio out before I leave state over the weekend. So you can check that out. Plus videos and merch and whatever level you're on. You can check that out there. And if you want to hear us talk more about wrestling, go to twitch.tv/Nintendomain podcast or youtube.com/Nintendomain podcast, and you can see our WrestleChat videos. My plan was to try to do another one after this, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, check all that out. And you can find us at Nintendo_domain and at JMaxStack on Twitter. And also, we're on the Bisky now, and I finally know what that means because we're on Blue Sky now. You can find Nintendomain. I've heard Blue Sky referred to as Bisky, and I didn't get it, but now I do because that's what the website is BSKY, so it looks like Bisky. But yeah, Blue Sky. It's open to everyone. Jeremy mentioned at the end of last episode, so I was like, hey, why the fuck not? So we're on there now, basically trying to find all the people that I followed on Twitter and find them there. So yeah, check that out. It's less terrible than Twitter. So go to Blue Sky. But yeah, thanks so much for listening to episode 409. We've been your hosts. I'm Trey Johnson.
Jerry Mikowski.
John Bitter.
And thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Oh, see ya.
There you go.
Remix.
This here is Funky Kong, funky like a monkey. Donkey gets the ladies even though he's kinda chunky. He lays it down when Diddy's not around. Then he hops on Funky's flights and hightails out of town. Let me hit you up with some of that monkey love. Come here, girl. Yeah, boy. Lay it down, donkey.
You're late at night, girl. We'll break it at a zoo. And there in front of the monkey, I'll make love to you. Watch out for flying through. I said monkey love.